All right, welcome to I think episode 4 of the Wonder Zone podcast.
Yep.
I am not your host, Arcadia or Kevin. I am joined today by your regular host, Brendy Schmendy Flanagan.
What's happening? And we are joined
And we
today by
the goat.
the goat, true, Mr. Gold Pop Tart or Steve.
Good morning, gamers.
Very cool. It is January 26th at 9:11 p.m. How wonderful. So I think it's been a whole 2 days since the last time we recorded them. But today, the topic of conversation is a little bit different because we're not talking about Switch 2. We're talking about Switch 1. And that's pretty much where the topic ends because we're talking about pretty much everything Switch 1.
Yeah,
today.
I thought it'd be nice to, look back on everything, because it's been a long time that we've had the Switch 1 in our hands. It'll be 8 years in about a month now, and there's just so much history and stuff to talk about as we head into this next generation. And I thought it'd be fun to get Steve on here for it.
Glad to be here.
Hooray. I love Steve. I'm so glad Steve's here.
Same.
I love you
Anyway, so, you don't mean it. Anyway, let's just jump into it. So, the first thing we got here is just like general overview, thoughts on the current Switch generation. So I think I'll let Steve take it away. Steve, how do you feel about the past 8 years of Nintendo? How do you feel about the Switch in general?
Extremely positive. It's been a fantastic ride from start to finish, but it definitely feels like a complete ride. Feels like we're ready to move on now.
Yeah, especially after the Wii U, they kind of just like cut that thing off halfway through. And I mean, like, it fizzled out pretty quick. It wasn't like we were getting tons of games for it and they just stopped. It was mostly like, it was just shockingly small of a time frame. But like, yeah, I mean, I don't even feel like the general sentiment around Switch is like negative. It's just people are just kind of done. Like, it's like, yeah, it's about the time to end. How do you feel, Brendan?
Give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back if you guys want to keep talking about, like, if Steve, you want to give a couple more thoughts. I just got to switch my chair out. I forgot to do that. My fault.
Yeah, he needs his gamer chair. We're talking about Switch 1. That's like his thing. He needs a real man's chair for a real man's topic.
Absolutely.
So yeah, do you have anything else you want to say, or is it just like good vibes all around? You're just kind of ready for the next thing now?
It's been. I feel like the last 2 years of the Switch have been kind of lacking. There hasn't been any standout games to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think back, like the last 2 years. Like there isn't a single like that is a must-have title. Maybe Tears of the Kingdom. Okay, yeah, you gotta have that one.
Yeah, that's like right at the end of that 2-year mark, though.
I feel like
We're
Tears
about
of
to
the
come up
Kingdom
on
and
its
Wonder were
years.
both, like,
Oh yeah,
standout games, and then, like, everything since has been kind of...
I'm also a big fan of Brothership so far. I'm really liking it.
Indeed. I feel like they played it safe putting it this close to the end of the Switch 1's life. Because if it flopped, then you could just cover it up with the Switch 2.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that makes sense.
put some respect on Mario and Luigi. They were never gonna flop. Alpha Dream just got hoed.
They really did.
Yeah, unfortunate. But, yeah, I have my chair now. Wonderful. So, personally, my thoughts on the Switch gen, just as a whole, I'm very happy with it. I love the concept. I love a lot of the games, and it just felt very validating as a longtime Nintendo fan to have a win of this size, like a success of this size, and just to see everyone like having Switches. Like all my friends have Switches. I see people like on the road. Like we were coming home from a vacation one time, end of last year, and I just turned my head out the window and I just saw someone in the passenger seat of the car next to me playing their Switch. And it's like such a huge what's the word? Like difference from like Wii U era and honestly even Wii era to now. And I've gotten a lot of what I've wanted out of this generation. Like, I got both of my favorite games of all time, like Mario Galaxy and Sonic Generations, like two of my tops. Like, that was huge.
Yeah.
That was huge for me. I got probably my favorite Smash Brothers ever, until they make the next one, lol. But I got Mario Maker. I got I got into Zelda this generation, and I've been missing out. I'll say that much.
I think you'd like Wind Waker.
Yeah,
I know it's very hard to stave off the leak talks because it's 2025 now.
well, yeah.
and
I mean, we've
kinda
been
all the
getting
rage,
Wind
but,
Waker,
like,
Twilight Princess HD leaks for every single year at this point. But
I know, but like I'm just telling you, now's the time. And if it does, try Wind Waker.
yeah,
I think I still prefer the Switch original Zeldas to Wind Waker by a little bit, but I also
Yeah.
haven't played Wind Waker since like 2020.
mhm,
Like I went back and played it on my Wii U again just cuz.
for sure.
So, yeah, if it comes out again, I'll buy it again. But
Yeah,
Same
but
here.
personally, like, I've gotten a lot out of it, and I'm like, it. We'll get into like all the like memory stuff and all of that later, but it's been a huge generation for both like Nintendo and for me personally, so I have a lot of fond memories with it. All that said, though, there is absolutely room to go up. There is absolutely room for improvement, both with the hardware and the software, and I'm very much looking forward to the future. But for the generation we had, I'm very happy with it.
yeah, that's fair. In terms of like this generation as a whole, I'm very mixed. Like on the one hand, a lot of amazing things have happened. Like I'm very glad that things like Brothership exist and things like Wonder exist. Like there have been some really standout moments this generation. But I'll talk a little bit more in depth about why I mixed later, because a lot of it has to do with the games. But in terms of like the Switch itself, it's like the novelty didn't really wear off so much as it kind of just like like the flaws started showing up. Like Joy-Con drift has been a talking point since launch, essentially. People are kind of tired of the rail system. The UI is kind of taking its toll because there's just like nothing going on when you turn that system on. And it's like the Switch has gotten itself into a position where we're looking back on it with a more like holistic view. Like we're kind of looking at it in the same way as the 3DS and the Wii U. So the more time goes on, the more distant the Switch 1 is going to become. And I feel like the longer we think about it through that lens, the more like critical we're going to be of it. And while I do have like a lot of like gripes and nitpicks with like the hardware, the games, the online, like the accessories, any of that, I did like it enough to the point where I'm like, maybe it's just like the hype, but I genuinely feel like the Switch 2 is poised to become like my personal favorite Nintendo console of all time. Like right now it's still 3DS, and I still think that pretty solidly. Like the Switch is like, it's got one too many things wrong with it for me for it to even be like considered, but it's like top 3. Like it's up there for me. But the Switch 2, it's like the Switch 1 got so much right, and the Switch 2 is like pretty much exactly like what I want so far. Just like, stronger Switch, just literally do this again, but undo the mistakes. So I'm very excited for the next gen. I remember this gen fondly, but again, a little bit mixed for me. But not negative at all.
Yeah, for sure. Before we get into like the big points of discussion, I wanted to kind of. This is gonna be an episode where we're talking about like all the like how well Nintendo did this gen, like hardware problems, software, like what we thought of each game. But I also wanted to touch on like I wanted it to be a little more personal. I'm very personal, and I like to just kind of gush about like the memories that I have with this system, because this is the first system at all that I have followed from its initial reveal and like leaks and everything all the way through. Like I've been following all the Switch stuff for as long as anyone possibly can at this point. And I think it'd be fun to reminisce. I know I have a lot of history with both Kevin and Steve regarding this console, and they also have histories of their own. I think it'd be fun to touch on that. So to kind of start that side of the episode off, I wanted to ask you guys, what was it like first getting the console? Like, when did you get it? What were your initial thoughts? How did it feel, stepping into this era of Nintendo?
Go for it, Steve. You're the guest of honor today.
I was beyond excited when this finally came out, following it from start to finish, just like you. When I ordered it, I ordered the Switch and the Breath of the Wild Master Collection, or whatever the biggest one was. But that came late, so I spent an entire day just with the Switch and just the UI and nothing to do on it. And I spent all day just sliding the Joy-Cons on and off, up and down, click, click.
That's so awesome.
I couldn't do anything and just swiping back and forth, enjoying the UI. Because that's something when you were bored, like as a kid, you would just mess with the DS settings or the DSi settings in the camera.
Yeah, that's right. You had the Mii Maker out the gate.
Exactly. This was just a cool new piece of software, or piece of hardware that is really unique. Well, not so much anymore. That you got the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally and all these other handhelds that Nintendo started a trend with this.
Yeah,
and it was cool riding it from the start.
Absolutely.
Brendan?
Yeah, So you got yours on launch day, Steve, you said?
I got the console launch day in the mail. Actually came on time. And then the game came the next day.
Nice. So my history with it also starts launch day. Excuse me. But it starts a little bit prior, actually, because I pre-ordered it at my local GameStop immediately after Christmas hit. I had gotten GameStop gift cards from relatives and had it saved up, and I was like, I'm gonna pre-order the Switch with these gift cards. And that's exactly what I did. I pre-ordered my own Switch. I pre-ordered all the big 4 games that were coming out over the year, after the presentation hit. So your Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart, Splatoon. And also, I want to mention this because it'd be cool to have on the internet, just in case. As a just in case thing, there was a guy that worked at that GameStop around that time, who on their lanyard had a Nintendo Switch pin, and my 2017, so I was 14, 15. My 15-year-old I'm hyper crazy energetic about the Switch. I walk up to the guy as he's trying to walk to the back, and I'm like, yo, that pin is so cool! Because it's literally just a square pin with the Switch logo in it. And he doesn't say a word to me, but he just takes it off his lanyard and gives it to me. I still have that pin to this day.
What a fucking legend.
That's awesome.
And that was such a wow. This is so cool to be a part of this type of community. That's a lot of it was it was a really cool interaction, and I feel like it's influenced a lot of me now, just being a lot more community oriented in both my personal and how I work, my the way I do my job and sort of that type of thing. But I'm going and rambling. The actual launch day was kind of insane because it was a Friday. It was I was still in high school. I was a freshman in high school at the time, and I'm that scene from Spider-Man: Homecoming where he's where Peter's in class looking at the clock and his foot is tapping. That trope.
Mm-hmm.
Literally how I was that day. I was just in front row of English class. I do not care what this man is telling me. I am tapping my foot, looking at the clock, waiting to get out of here so I can go and buy my new awesome tablet. And the time finally arrived. I had to wait for my brother to get out because he was in middle school. And since both high and middle school were in the same building, or same area, we waited. My dad waited for him to get out so that we could all go together. And my brother Patrick and I, we both picked our Switches up at the same time. We both got Zelda and 1-2 Switch, and it was genuinely surreal to like have a console at launch, because I had never done that. The closest I got was the 3DS XL, and even then it was just like a model of the console, not like the day one console launch. But like to be like getting onto the internet and getting more like comfortable with it and seeing everyone's reactions to this console and then having it myself launch day was like, oh, it's so cool. It was so cool. Like the Joy-Cons felt great. The hardware was like it was surreal to be playing Breath of the Wild. I played it mostly in tabletop mode that day, simply because it's my favorite. It was like unheard of to me. It was so surreal to, have this tablet and then the controllers in my hands, like not even connected to the grip. I would like mostly just have them resting behind, like by my hips, just like, playing the game like that. And to this day, it's still my favorite way to do it. But back then, when it actually like came out, genuinely a surreal experience.
Real.
Indeed.
I think I have the most different experience with it. It's pretty much all the same in terms of like following the hype train, look, continuously rewatching like ads, overview videos, speculation, all that. Like that one video where it's like the Switch and a TV in like this plain white room, and it just like shows you how the HDMI plugs in. I watched that genuinely 40 times.
That's
like,
so real.
It was crazy. The part where it differs is I did not get it on launch day. I did not have the money, and my parents were not about to drop everything and go get me a console, especially considering like scalper prices. So I got mine in like early April 2017. So when I got mine, I got like the neon Joy-Con things, like the bundle. It had like a screen cleaner and all that stuff. But I got Zelda and Mario Kart when I got it because they were both out by the time I was able to get one. And I was like sitting on my couch in my townhouse, and I was like watching the videos again, and it was like again a random Tuesday in April. So I was like just sitting there watching it, and my mom's like, "You're really interested in that Switch thing, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah." And that was like the whole interaction. She walks away, comes back with the box, and I'm just like, no shot. Like I'm just staring at it, and she gives it to me, and I just ran away. Like I just ran upstairs. And like I just ran up to my room. I called Cameron on FaceTime, and I literally just did an unboxing video like right then and there for him. He got, I don't know if he got his on launch day specifically, but he did get it like super early. It was definitely like early March. He got it like no more than a week after it came out. And so I like went over to his place, and I played his a bunch before I ever owned mine. Like we were playing like the tests of strength in Breath of the Wild. We would like take turns trying to beat it in his basement because we just sucked at the game. So, yeah, I played a good bit of Switch before release, or before I got one after release. But when I got one, it was literally it was curtains. Like I would just like disappear from my family. I like took it down into the living room and just like gave my family like a whole breakdown on how everything worked.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, so I was all over that. I like throughout its life, I haven't really done like the whole I'm gonna buy every game for it thing as badly as I want to, because just personally a lot has changed through this generation, including me having to be stingy with money. So I can't afford to just go out and buy every game I want as badly as I want to. But I did grab like a couple things that first year. I remember the Splatoon 2 launch. I was at Ocean City. And there was no pre-purchase on the eShop yet, so I had to deal with this laggy trash eShop on Ocean City Wi-Fi
Oh, no.
with my cousin doing the same thing
Oh man.
on launch night of like one of the biggest games of the year. So yeah, I just sat there mashing A for like 2 hours, and I finally got through. Um, and yeah, I played Splatoon a bunch. I still remember like going home and playing it after Ocean City, like nothing had ever changed. I got Odyssey, got Splatoon. I did the ARMS Global Test Punch, also in
Yeah.
Cameron's basement. Played it, and I said that was a lot of fun. But if the full game isn't free, I'm not buying it. So lo and behold, I don't own ARMS.
Fair.
So yeah, I mean, year one
I knew you used your
was
Joy-Cons.
a wild ride.
Year one
Like-
genuinely was insane. Like, my brother and I went through almost all of it together. I think like the only games that we didn't buy like multiple copies of were like I'm the only one who got Mario Odyssey, and I think I am also the only one that got Fire Emblem Warriors. But everything else we bought like copies of for ourselves because we had our own systems and we were both like going through every like game. Like we both played Zelda a ton, and like at launch we were also playing a ton of 1-2 Switch with our neighbors. We bought Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, or I bought Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, and we played that a lot. We waited for that battle mode to come out for years until it actually did. Like there was a part, it was like it felt like how Silksong fans feel. It was like that shit was never coming out, and then it did. But oh man, what else? I wanted to buy Fast RMX because I was like, it was like launch period of the Switch, and we were like messing around with like some of the smaller games. It was like, it was pretty cool. I finally bought it last year, and I had some fun with it. Definitely a launch title, definitely a launch area feeling game.
Yeah, kind of had to be there for that one. It doesn't hold up too well.
Yeah, for sure. But we were there for Mario Kart. I remember like every night leading up to 8 Deluxe's release, my brother and I would hop on like Mario Kart 8 Wii U 2-player co-op Wi-Fi, and we would just play that every night until the game came out. And then we did the same thing when the game came out, except on our own consoles. Like it was crazy. That battle mode was insane. We'll touch on that a little later. But oh man, Splatoon was really fun because I walked over to GameStop that morning. Like it was during the summer, so I was like, yo, Splatoon's out, and I walked to GameStop and I walked back and my brother saw it. It was like, yo, I really want that game, dude. I like, and begged my dad to get him a copy of it, and he got a copy of it. So we were both playing Splatoon. My brother got really into Splatoon. Like he was like genuinely like borderline competitive level player in that game in his first year. I was not as good. I went back and forth between playing roller and dualies, but yeah, that was fun. What was really fun though, ARMS. ARMS is a huge one for me personally because I love that game and it's like they were trying something new with it. But also just the point in time when it came out. My cousin, no, not that was later, but we got it. Or no, I think he was there when it came out. Yeah, we got ARMS the day it came out, and like everyone in our neighborhood, we had like a group of friends. We had like kind of become friends over the years in our neighborhood, and we all got together and we were playing ARMS on our front porch. And then our my cousin Drew was over for like 2 weeks, and those 2 weeks were some of the most magical weeks of the Switch to me ever, because like not only were we like had 2 consoles, we were all playing ARMS together, but Drew and we would like hang out at the library close to my house while my brother was working at it, like volunteer working or something, I don't know. And we had Minecraft at the time, and this was before the Bedrock edition, so we were doing like the gliding mini games. That was a ton of fun. But what the standout to us was Cars 3 Driven to Win. We almost 100% of that game within the week we got it.
That's crazy.
It was
Went full tryhard mode.
we really did. There's still some stuff that we haven't gotten to, but that was crazy. Mario Odyssey was big. I got Wedding Mario and played it all the way through. that weekend. I remember the demo for the game came out on the retailer demo kiosks, and I would run to that GameStop near my house every day after I heard it was out, and I would just sit there and play it, and I knew like the cashier, the cashier there was just like I knew she was like, there was one time where she looked at me and was like, were you looking to like, you know, pre-order anything for it? And I looked at her, I was like, no, I already have it pre-ordered, and I just went back to playing the game. But like that first year of the console was like genuinely magical, and I hold some of my favorite memories of all time to that year. Year 2 as well, but like most of that was due to Smash, so like as a whole, that first year Switch was super magical.
I
Agreed.
gotta give it up. Switch 1 was, I don't like, it would not have been anywhere near as special without Etika, because that guy was like
Yeah.
single-handedly the reason I was even giving a thought to games like ARMS.
True.
Like, I was inspired to try so
He
many
loved
things.
ARMS, bro.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, his content and like was like the only thing I would ever do besides play the actual Switch.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he was like hyping up so many different things, like watching stuff. Like, dude, I have literally no emotional response to anything ARMS related. If that guy was not reacting to the Twin Tail launch, I would have actually never heard about it. I actually only know who Twin Tail is because of him.
Yeah.
So
He was a
like,
legend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna save that for later in the episode because I wasn't.
I just
sure
had
if
to give it
wanted
up.
To, yeah,
we're
no,
talking
for
about
sure.
year 1. That guy made year 1.
Absolutely, I agree. He was a huge part of that. Hold on.
He was the conductor of the hype train.
He really
He
was.
was.
You know who else was too? At least for me personally. I wanted to mention this later, but right now I wanted to just say like, Captain Nintendo, dude, bro. CND. Y'all know the Switch line shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yep.
that.
That was-
Those videos, bro. Like him cultivating that community in the middle of the city, and just like, you know, seeing all these people come out, like Triforce Johnson, who is the current like the previous like record holder for that stuff, came out to help him. That was like, it was like the two of them the whole way. You know, people like Nathaniel Bandy showed up, Etika was there, and that was like insane to see like those two worlds collide, because I was watching his streams all the time, and I would watch every single CND vlog daily. Like when I got home from school, I would like pop a microwavable mac and cheese in the microwave. I would sit down at the kitchen table and I would like put that day's vlog on while I ate after I got home. It was like, oh my god, the night where the Switch came out and he was like doing the live stream and vlog at the same time. Like I was watching that. I stayed up to watch that happen. And just even looking back on it now, that moment in like history is one of my favorites. I still go back and watch it all the time. And even though like a lot of it is like thanks to C&D and Triforce and everyone that was like there on that line, I would be lying if I said Etika wasn't a crazy big part of that as well. And just like, you know, the mix of all of them coming together, you know, Etika being online for a lot of the final days, just him chanting Joy-Con boys into the crowd on the night of the launch was, I still watch that back. It's like one of those things where I'll like play it back 100 times and, you know, it won't get annoying because it's just it was like one of the best moments to be a Nintendo fan. We were on the cusp of this brand new era. We had some of the best people we could have had ringing us in, and just he was a big part of that. And I want to like, just to throw it out there, I want to thank everyone that was a part of those videos, everyone that would like, you know, C&D, Triforce, and like all of y'all like made that pre-launch cycle for me, because I didn't really have anyone to, you know, hype about it with in person, except for like my brother. And even then, it was like, that was a big source of hype for me, seeing everyone get together. And I really hope that we get to see something like that again this year. But yeah, Joy-Con boys forever. It's always going to be that.
Amen.
Yes, sir. R.I.P.
So-
Attica.
All right, rip Etika. That's my goat, dude.
True.
I like. It's still like infuriating to me that he never saw Sans or Min Min. That was like his thing. That was like his thing. There's gonna be an ARMS character. It's like no one wants that, but like he would have cared. He was the only person that probably would have popped off from Min Min.
He was a huge Min Min fan, like personally too, like specifically.
Right,
Min Min.
exactly.
You would have lost it.
Exactly. The stars were aligned. But anyway, I think
So much lotion would have been spread.
True,
true.
dude.
so
Oh
many
my
shelves
God.
would have been smashed.
Yeah,
Like
bro.
I know it would have gone like he would have popped off for Min Min, and then they would have gone into gameplay, and the smile just fades. He's like, "Oh no!" Like,
Dude,
that's
if he-
pretty much what all of us were thinking.
Yeah.
The trailer was beautiful. Gameplay was
Oh no.
holy.
No.
Yeah,
He would have popped off for Pyromithra too.
that's true.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
Oh,
I feel like
man.
Fighters Pass 2 is kind of built for him. Now that I'm like thinking about it,
That was what people were saying when it was coming out.
crazy. Anyway, we'll get into video games later. I think that's all for like the overview memories. If that's unless you guys have any final thoughts.
Nah, I'll get into more of like the later year memories when we get into that later. But for now, just like that, if we're sticking to like year one and like all of that sort of stuff, I think we hit it pretty solidly. Do you have anything, Steve?
I have another. Yeah, I have another Switch one. A collection of memories.
Yeah.
And that was just
Go
taking
for
it
it.
to school.
Oh, true.
Oh, true.
Well, first the reveal. I was super hyped for the reveal, and I didn't care what I was doing in class that day. But I left drama class and went to the bathroom to watch the reveal and stream it on our terrible school Wi-Fi.
That's so
And I came
awesome.
back to drama class and went to the back and started chatting and gossiping. And like, dude, Nintendo's back. This shit's crazy. And then when it came out, I brought it with me day 2 it came out because I had to wait for it to come day 1.
Yeah.
But I brought it with me every single day. And all class was just playing Breath of the Wild. And then when Mario Kart came out, I'm not paying attention to math. There's a stack of books and a Switch behind it with 3 of us playing Mario Kart.
Yeah, that's so real, dude.
It was senior year, so no one cared.
Yeah, for sure. I remember I was like in the lobby of my high school just waiting for my brother to get out every day so I'd bring my Switch. And just randomly 3 people walked up and I had 2 pairs of Joy-Cons at that point. So, we're all sideways Joy-Con playing Mario Kart split screen with 4 people and that tiny ass screen. Like those were the days, man.
Indeed.
Someone walked up to me and was like, "Yo, you got Smash on this thing?" And I was like, "No, but I got Brawl Out." Incredible. But yeah,
I
sorry to
almost
interrupt.
bought Brawl out. No, you're good.
Yeah,
So-
we bought into the hype.
I am interested in your guys' thoughts on the hardware itself. So, from beginning to end, the Switch, like the tablet, the Joy-Cons, the dock, like any kind of like the grip, just like general hardware and or maybe accessories if we want to dive into that right now. But like by and large, like out of the box, what do you guys think about the actual form factor of the Switch?
I think personally, it is one of my favorite ideas to come out of anything gaming. Even despite all the flaws, I love the way it's set up, the detachable controllers, the tablet itself. Of course, I think it was outdated for its time then. They worked with what they had, but also just even now, it's like super outdated, and trying to play games like Sonic Frontiers or Shadow Generations or God, don't even get me started on Mortal Kombat 1. Like games like that are being put on Switch but aren't, anywhere near up to standard with the other games running, like with the other versions of it running. It's just, for what it is, it did its job, but I think it was in dire need of an upgrade.
What do you think about the light and the OLED?
I really like the clicky buttons on the light. I think the buttons of like the triggers and the buttons of the light, I like the way those feel way more than the actual Joy-Con buttons.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it was never really a good portable console until the OLED dropped and we actually had a good kickstand. Like, I don't know what we were thinking with that flimsy little thing on the right side of the tablet. Like,
It
that
was
thing
terrible.
doesn't work on anything but, like, hard, flat surface. Like, I put that thing on carpet, my room is fully, like, carpet floor. That thing is falling over. It, no matter what, unless I have something propping it up on the other side, that thing is falling over. And
I don't understand why it wasn't centered.
yeah, that was really weird to me. But just the OLED came out and actually gave us a good kickstand. That solved all my problems. But also the OLED screen was really nice. Like, it popped. The colors popped way more.
Yeah. I
Just looking
agree.
at the Smash roster on the OLED screen is phenomenal.
It really is.
Just every single character's color is just a stunning color.
That's true. Yeah, the OLED, you don't really notice the difference between the OLED and the LCD until you like actually are in person looking at an OLED. It's really, really hard to like really understand the difference when you're just like looking at footage or like pictures of it.
Yeah.
Steve, what do you think about the Switch hardware?
It's pretty dang cool, and that's what made it so unique, and that's why it took off. Um, e- there's people complaining that the Switch itself was underpowered when it came out, and it still managed to be currently the second best-selling console of all time. And that's just
Yeah.
because of how unique and convenient it was to have a console that fits any type of playstyle.
Mm-hmm.
Like when the Switch came out, I was playing it on the massive living room TV, and then I take it with me and play it in bed in handheld mode, and then I take it with me to school and play in tabletop mode, and then come back home, put it back in the dock. Like, it was so
Yeah.
cool to have something that had a battery life. While it wasn't great, wasn't ass, and it also was just so. I don't know how else to put it. It's just so unique. It was so cool.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't even like battery life was one of those things people talked about a lot, but it hardly ever comes into play, I feel, unless you're like traveling. Like 3 hours, it's like, you know, my 3DS can go like a couple days without charging. And it's like, you know, like a lot of people like fold it up, throw it into a bag or something, and just like collect play coins or something like that. The Switch is like, you can't really do that. Like, you do have to go that extra mile, like turn it off completely if you really do plan on like going days without charging it. But it's like, I don't know, if you're just playing a game for in handheld mode, 3 hours is a solid chunk for like AAA games.
yeah, and if you're sitting
So-
down, you probably have an outlet near you.
Yeah, that, and also the pivot to USB-C makes it compatible with portable power banks anyway. So, like, you know, you were not bringing a portable charger with the 3DS. So that thing, it was like, once that battery's done, it's done. The Switch, you could charge, and it's like, it ate up a lot of power. Like, it's definitely going to take a lot more than your phone, but you can.
I
think-
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I was going to jump into my hardware thing. If you got something to say, then...
No, for sure. I was just gonna say, like, speaking on power and like battery life and everything, a little bit of an overlooked thing is the fans and like cooling and all that sort of stuff. But like the Switch ran really well for a lot of games. Like I barely had my fans going crazy, and I played a lot of
Yeah,
games.
it ran pretty cool.
Like, it was nice to know that, like, even though I was running a bunch of like games, there were very few times where the fans would be like, you know, making noise.
Yeah, I actually have never like consciously thought about the fans on my Switch until like the past week where I was trying to download Brothership overnight. So I had it in the dock, and I was like trying to sleep, and my room was like dead silent except for like this like ticking noise coming from the Switch. And I don't think that's even like a fan thing. I think there's something wrong with my console, because it's like super old. So maybe there's a bomb inside of mine specifically. But you know, I like my experience with the Switch, I definitely used it as a home console 80% of the time. I used it like as a handheld, like hybrid console a lot in like the first year or two. But then like after that, I really didn't take it anywhere. I started taking it out a little bit when Tears dropped because I was so excited for that game. I was like, hey, it's a Switch. And so like that kind of novelty kind of wore off for me. Because it was like, cool concept, but for me personally, I really wasn't like super locked into the whole handheld thing. I think the Switch Lite feels great. I think the OLED looks beautiful. I don't really think I would get either one over my original Switch because the stuff that they offer is just stuff I don't care about, really. Um, I
What
think
about
like
the double storage on the Switch OLED?
I have a big ass SD card plugged into my thing.
Yeah, you
so
want your
I don't
64 gigabytes of memory?
don't care.
Oh man,
Yeah, I don't know. The Joy-Cons are cool. I think like, with the exception of like the rail systems and the drift, like the things that everyone talks about, I just feel like a lot of like the Switch's shortcomings were it definitely struggled with some software, especially near the end. Like the past couple years, or like I guess 2 years really, you can definitely tell that it's starting to like struggle to run modern games. Even Tears on mine, yeah, like that game is so well optimized. You have to really try to get it to chug, but you can. Um, and it's like honestly, most of my problems with the Switch just come with it like being just outright inconvenient to use in handheld mode. And to like transport around, and also just like I guess the Joy-Cons being a little too small. I really don't have that many nitpicks with it specifically for like what I use it for. Like when I use handheld, it's really easy to like knock the Joy-Cons out of place. Sometimes there's like connectivity issues. I think that's like my one big issue with it when I'm playing docked mode is like I've been using a lot of like not single Joy-Con, but like disconnected Joy-Cons recently. Like I don't use the grip. And if I'm like laying in bed, right? If I'm like laying on my side and I put one Joy-Con behind my leg, it stops working. Like just outright, it'll read things with like a massive delay. Won't read things at all. It's just I don't even understand that. But yeah, I mean handheld mode. I really want to play more handheld, but it's just a pain in the ass to do, really. And I don't even have as many opportunities to do so as I would like. Most of the time, if I'm leaving the house, it's because I have to do something and I'm going to drive myself. So I really don't get the opportunity to as much. But there are definitely things about it that if they were solved, I would be more inclined to try. Like, I would show up early to work to play it. Like, just to be like, hey, I'm using the handheld mode. Like, that's cool. But as it is now, it's like, it's just... Especially the kickstand. It is just plagued by so many just inconveniences. Like, I can't fit it comfortably in, like, my pockets or anything, like my jacket pockets, because I have to, like, dismantle the entire thing. And it's like, yeah.
Having the magnets on the Switch 2 Joy-Cons will make that easier.
See, that's what I'm thinking. That's why I'm so excited. But yeah, I mean, it's like, battery life, controller connectivity, that's about it. When I play in dock mode, like the fan thing has never come into play. I have played some pretty extensive hours on my Switch. Like, I'll be playing one game all night or just like on my Switch all day. Never a single time have I like heard the fan unless the room is dead silent, and I've never had like a heat warning. So, whatever is going on in there is working, as far as I'm concerned.
I wasn't even mentioning like docked mode for the fan thing, and I was just all handheld.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I haven't had any bad fan experiences in handheld. Most of my handheld complaints come from like just the Joy-Cons, and like the actual form factor itself is just like it being a pain in the ass to actually take with you.
Yeah, I get that.
the Switch's cooling system is really dang good. I specifically remember watching YouTube videos of people trying to make it overheat, and they're struggling by putting it in a hot room in sunlight and covering it in several towels
That's
and blankets.
right. I do remember that.
Yeah, that's crazy. I saw some people playing basketball with their Switch. I don't really know what kind of test they were trying to accomplish with that, but I did. I saw it.
Y'all remember? Y'all remember Switch Force and how they were like uploading all those videos when the Switch came out, where it was like playing the
Yeah.
Switch in like on the beach or on the plane or in a prison cell, like
Vaguely.
what it's like and how it feels, bro. They sure did tell us.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything else to say about hardware, or is that really?
I think I've got everything out. Let me get this out real quick. While the Joy Cons were like serviceable, or pretty good, whatever, however you feel about them, I do want to give big ups to Nintendo with their design for the Pro Controller. Top
Oh yeah, I
two
totally forgot about that
controller ever made, bro. Like
It
I
is
tell
a
this,
fantastic
I tell
controller.
this to everyone that like asks me about controllers or like what's the best kind of controller to get for the Switch. Pro Controller instantly. That thing has almost every feature of the Joy-Con except for like the IR camera and who cares. But also just like very ergonomic, very comfortable to hold. The buttons all feel really good to press down, and it's just it never runs out of battery. It almost never runs out of battery for me, and it like big ups to Nintendo for that. I love that controller.
Yeah, it's definitely my
Agreed there.
personal favorite. It's up there with like it's competing with like DualSense for like the best.
That's why I said
And
top two. I think they're like both of
yeah,
those
that's what I'm
controllers
saying.
are like right there. I don't even know
Most
which one I prefer.
people, most people are between those two. I definitely am giving it to the Switch for sure.
Yeah.
Because my biggest issues with like Sony controllers, the DualSense does way better than the DualShock for like battery life and like durability. Because actually, if you like sneezed while you were playing a PS4, that shit was breaking. Um, and also I had like the shortest cable known to man to charge my DualShock.
Yeah.
If you unplug that thing a single time, you're going like it's just turning off. So for me to play my PS4 actually required me to like endure horrid neck and shoulder pain. Anyway, that's enough about Sony. We don't care. The DualSense improves like a little bit about that, but also my big thing is like the stick placement. I think it feels way more natural to have like top left and then like middle right sticks instead of like the bottom middle of the controller, and then like having a giant ass button in the middle. Obviously like the DualSense is better for like, you know, just overall like multi-platform stuff if you're worried about like the extra button, because like only Nintendo games work with amiibo, and that's what the entire like center of that controller is dedicated to besides like the logo. But like literally every other way it feels amazing to hold. It looks sleek as hell. It has like crazy battery life, and it's like it's also just it's just one of the best feeling controllers like ever made. Like I
For
don't even
sure.
know what I would even change about it for the Switch 2. Like it's genuinely they got it right the first try.
I keep one of these in my car.
A Pro controller?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, just in case like some little kid comes up and challenges you to like a duel in any Switch game, and you need the emergency Pro Con to just like destroy that idiot. That's pretty funny.
That is
I have
really cool.
Where if I
one,
go to
and
someone's
it
house
is
for a LAN party, I never forget it.
mine is just sitting on my desk, and it's dead because I've been using Joy Cons recently because I think they're neat, and I'm trying to I'm just excited for the Switch 2, so I've been using Joy Cons, but definitely All-Star controller.
For sure. Yeah,
Uh,
that's all I had on hardware.
Yeah, last thing I want to say, the SL and SR on the Joy-Cons are trash.
True.
Get those out of here.
I'm so glad that they are.
And the wrist
increasing
strap
the size.
attachment. Those things suck too.
The wrist straps are fine, but the buttons
No, they
on the
suck.
side
They-
were bad.
The buttons on the wrist strap don't help anything. It literally just makes the controller taller. It's like it literally doesn't change a single thing. It doesn't change at all. The buttons are actually probably harder to hit with the strap on.
Yeah.
But if you're playing sideways Joy-Con, you are a high schooler or broke. So, or both. I don't know very many rich high schoolers. So, anyway, Steve, did you have any more thoughts about the Switch hardware?
Yes.
Please give me all you got.
No.
No?
So I
Oh.
really appreciate that when they did the Pro Controller, they put a D-pad on it instead of the 4 face buttons.
Yeah.
I just don't like the D-pad.
Yeah.
I think this is Nintendo's worst D-pad.
The Joy-Con ones or the Pro
The Pro
ones?
Controller.
The Pro Controller.
Really?
The Wii U Pro Controller, I think, had the best D-pad.
I agree. That one was
Um,
really good. But I do know what you were saying. I remember that being a major complaint around launch.
This one feels like if you try to push down, you're almost always going to push right with it too. I don't know. Maybe it's just the two that I have. But if I'm holding
you
down,
might
it's
not-
always going to the right also.
You might have Shrek's hands, bro. No, that's real. I've
That
heard
might
a
be
lot
the
of people
character.
say that. It's not quite. I haven't had that experience personally. I feel like a lot of D-pads function pretty much the same to me. Like Sony's even has like the tilt to it. Like it's all one plastic mold.
Yeah.
Sony's just doesn't have like the connected pieces in between.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that happened. Like it either there isn't like a noticeable change for me depending on the controller. Like if I hit it a certain way, it'll always do that no matter what I'm using. And if I just hit like the ends of it, like it might just be that the Procon made my brain subconsciously hit the ends of the D-pad, so it's not a thing I struggle with, but I just haven't had that happen personally.
Also, I mentioned the Switch Lite's D-pad is significantly worse than the Pro controllers. Like it feels like a Wii D-pad. It feels like they put the Wii Mote D-pad on a Switch Lite. It's very spongy.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
I think what this D-pad does differently is that you can push down in the center. Like going back to the DualSense comparison, there's no center to that D-pad. There's just controller shell there. So you can't push more than one direction at a time. But with the Switch one, I have it in my hands right now. I can push down in the center, and every button's being pushed.
Mhm.
There's not the pivot point's not there for it to be able to rotate and hit one at a time.
Yeah.
No, I definitely see that for sure.
I think that's kind of it. I'm glad that they kept plus and minus. I don't like that all the companies are renaming start and select these weird new things. Like Xbox is 3 lines and then 2 squares. PlayStation is share and the menu button, I think it's called.
I think it's options.
Options, yes. And they
Yeah.
stuck with plus and minus. That's good.
Yeah,
They
I
didn't
think
give it any
both
weird
are
names.
cool. Also, the more we talk about it, the more I think about it. I really hate the screenshot button. It's just it's so stupid.
The functionality of it on the Switch is definitely super like underutilized compared to what other consoles are able to do.
Yeah, it's ass.
It also
Like-
just never looks good.
What,
Yeah.
the screenshot button like on the controller or like the screenshots you take with
The
it?
screenshots
don't
and videos you take with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's whatever to me. I think, most of the Switch catalog looks better in motion anyway. But I just like, I don't
said videos too.
yeah, but those are also like super ultra compressed because they gave a screenshot button to a console that has 32 gigs of internal storage. So if you want to buy a video game, you best not have ever touched that button. So, and also, yeah, that's all it does in a best case scenario. Because sometimes your games just don't do that at all.
Yeah, that's true.
So-
Smash.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
true.
makes me so angry.
Yeah.
Speaking
Yeah,
of that button,
hopefully,
why can you only do 30 seconds? Why can't I do a minute? Why can't I do less?
you
Why
can
is it
do
just
less
30
if you go in and crop it.
That's true.
But yeah, it's
Yeah.
like 30 seconds being the maximum is a little lame.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's whatever. I just, it would make a lot more sense if they introduced some kind of extra functionality with it. Like, it had, like, you could port it to, like, Twitter or something.
That was
And,
pretty
like,
big
at
for
least
like
ways.
overall conversation of games online, and then they just took it away when Elon bought it.
Don't blame them a single bit, though.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm just
I
saying.
also, like, I don't know. Like, Sony got this right. I'll give Sony their props for this one. The share button has so much, like, actual functionality behind the button that I understand
Yes, it
why it's
does.
there. Like, it does things for you when you click it. The Switch screenshot button actually does jack shit. So, hopefully, in the Switch 2 generation, I don't care if it's Miiverse, Vidmeo, porting to YouTube. I will take anything. I will take anything. And also give us the chat button because I would use that as well. Probably more, but whatever. Anyway, one more round of calls. Any more hardware opinions, gentlemen? No?
USB-C was the best decision they made for that console.
True?
If it was mini or micro USB, you know how many broken Switch ports there'd be around the world?
Oh, yeah, true.
Oh man.
Or something proprietary?
Yeah. I definitely. There's a lot of things that you don't realize are godsends until you live without them. So.
For sure.
And Nintendo recognized that so much they gave us another one, another port. So hooray!
That's huge.
Very curious about that.
It's probably just to fix the horrific design flaw that is tabletop mode.
I wonder if they
That's-
could use it for any cool accessories like they plan to do with the Wii U gamepad's port on the bottom.
Yeah, that's
Oh
right.
yeah, I figured that was like the gamepad had its own dock TV stand type thing. I just thought it was for that. I didn't use it for anything else.
It had two little metal prongs for the charging stand, but then in between them was this really long port that was never used for anything.
That's pretty funny. Like they didn't
Is
even
this the
release
first-
anything?
No, they didn't do anything. They
That's
had
fire.
like a gameplay trailer of it being like on top of like a Wii Zapper, and it was plugged
Honestly,
into that.
that's like the most base thing you can do. We should have more things like that. More
True.
companies should design hardware with useless shit on it. Just ports and like sensors and anything, just random shit.
Thinking about it now, that might be the Switch might be Nintendo's first time where they didn't have a weird port. The NES, Super Nintendo, N64 all had ports on the bottom. The GameCube too. I guess the Wii didn't. We had every port
Yeah.
used.
Yeah, and I think that like a lot of their handheld stuff also had pretty solid uses for everything.
Yeah, I can't think of any wasted hardware on handheld.
But yeah, Big Dub, hopefully the Switch 2 has a random hole in the side.
True. We will see in due time.
Anyway, I'm itching to talk about some video games. You guys want to talk about video games?
I'm down to talk about
I
some
do like gaming.
Alright, may I open this one?
Of course.
Do it.
So, when I said I was mixed on the Switch, the game library is what I was talking about. And I've been thinking about this for so long, I actually spilled the beans a little bit to Brendan earlier and told him that I believe the Switch's game library is both its biggest strength and its greatest weakness, because over the past 8-ish years, they have done a great job at like filling the holes in like their libraries. Like a lot of entire series are available to play on the Switch. Like you can get pretty much every Donkey Kong game on the Switch. I think if you include like NSO, you can get like the older ones as well. Because obviously Tropical Freeze and Country Returns have like their own standalone games, but I think you can play most of the older titles as well.
Yeah.
You can play
Think so.
the entirety of Pikmin. You can play a very good, like a very chunky amount of like Zelda.
And Mario.
And Mario,
Mario.
yeah, that one.
And Metroid.
yeah.
They make a lot of Mario. Metroid, we're still waiting on those two Prime games, aren't we?
Yeah, but I know like
Yeah.
most of the 2D Metroids, I think almost all of them are on Switch, like with NSO.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like NSO doing some work, but the fact still remains that the Switch is home to a lot of like full franchises, and even then, they have done a lot of work this generation bringing stuff back, like Metroid Prime actually existing, Pikmin actually existing on a console that isn't the Wii U, um, and then like we got F-Zero 99, which is like sure whatever it exists. They acknowledge that it exists. What else do we get? I had something I totally forgot. Oh yeah, Brothership. I just said Brothership. Uh, like a lot, like every corner of the Mario RPG, like trifecta, got an entry, and like very recently actually. We
Holy
have
crap! Yeah, it did.
plenty. We have plenty of 3D and 2D Zelda. We have pretty much like the Mario Party Renaissance. Um, but the reason I say that it's also the Switch's biggest weakness is the obvious over reliance on ports, remakes, remasters, that kind of thing. But also, the original entries for the Switch are some of like the most polarizing and divisive entries in their respective series like ever. Like there have been some gems like Wonder, Echoes of Wisdom, and like Jamboree, where people are all like, "Wow, this is a great game. I just like this game," and that's fine. Like sometimes there's just open and shut really good games, but a lot of the time it's like Mario Kart. We've been playing a port for the entire generation. Both of the original Zelda games have opened up the discourse in the Zelda community of like, where is Zelda going in the future? Like, are we taking this open world route like to the moon, or are we gonna go back and do like a more linear game? Uh, I think that it goes without saying that every Pokemon entry on the Switch is complete trash. Like they all are terrible, except for like maybe
Yes.
Legends Arceus and Let's Go if you are a big fan of visuals.
And Pokemon Tournament, sorry.
Oh yeah, yeah, Pokemon Tournament is some
Pokemon's
fire.
great.
I'll put some respect on Pokemon. I love that game.
Same.
But then there's like Odyssey. It not a bad game. I am actually coming around on it. I used to think very critically of Odyssey, but
Yeah.
even when you're like even when you enjoy it, it still has horrible like pacing and just is a bloated game next to Mario's 3D catalog in general.
It's also very like stuffed with filler and way too short. I
Yeah.
have my opinions
Yeah.
on Odyssey. It's not my favorite anywhere
Yeah,
near.
so like Odyssey, Pokemon, the 3D Zelda titles, even Kirby had a big dud this generation. Like Forgotten Land was great, and it's another one of those open and shut. Like people really like that game, but like Star Allies was also very bare bones. Mario Sports has been taking a lot of L's in general.
Yeah.
Switch
Yeah.
Sports is one of the most divisive things ever. Super Mario Party is one of the most divisive things ever. The problem with the Switch is like even its original games are like I can appreciate them for experimenting, but some of them are just not great. Like some of them are releasing with like horribly lacking in content. Some of them just have like creative or design decisions that are just bafflingly odd. And then there's just some where it's like, sometimes people really like it and you're kind of an outlier if you dislike it. Like Odyssey, I can understand. Like, I think most people still like that game,
Yeah.
but I feel like it has a lot more haters than every other Mario 3D title. Like, I feel like most people enjoy Galaxy, most people enjoy Sunshine. 64 is a little bit divisive, but that's just because it's old. But like, I don't know, Odyssey was the first like brand new game in a while where it's like people were kind of split on it. I'm trying not to bring up Pokemon again because they are awful. Like it is really sad how deliberately bastardized Pokemon is this generation. Especially given the fact that they usually make games for handhelds. Like you would think with a more powerful system, they could just like like stick to what works and just make like prettier versions of things. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't have ambition, but they have really shot themselves in the foot with their ambitious like design and schedules just like smashed together. And then like there's like Mario Sports, Kirby, like even Donkey Kong just has like lacking in content, whether that be like entire games just missing, and like Mario Kart is like it got DLC, but it's also extremely old.
Yeah,
Like
it's all
that game
ported from
came out like
Tor.
what? Yeah, like what? 2014 is when 8 came out originally.
May 30th, 2014. We've had this game for almost 11 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Even when it
Ah,
came
neat.
out on the Switch, it was 3 years old. By the time quarantine rolled around, that game was 6. That is ridiculous.
Ooh.
And like, also Smash Ultimate fits into this. I just actually totally forgot about that game.
I thought you were
it's
saving it for
another one.
later because I know that's a game we all have opinions on.
It's like it feels like Odyssey to me, where it's like a lot of people really, really love it, but it's probably the most on the fence I've seen people for like a newly released game. Usually people aren't that split until like 20 years after it comes out. Like in the Mario 64 situation. Like usually people will like, even if you're a big fan of what Ultimate did, it still sacrificed a ton of stuff. It has like fun stuff like Smashdown and Squad Strike, but they gave up so much single player. It's really bad online. Has one of the worst training modes in a competitive fighter I've ever seen. And it's like it still doubles down on Smash's horrible reputation with DLC. Like it is only the second game in the series to have DLC, but given that Smash 4 was also over 10 years ago, it's like it's not exactly a new idea to the franchise, and it's just gone straight downhill. Like Smash 4 had it bad at the end. The reason that game ended, the reason we had Ultimate so soon into the Switch was because of the DLC, and they did the same thing again. So it's like, even if the Switch has a lot of games, and a good handful of them are really, really good, the overwhelming majority of the library is just old titles being brought over, whether they're given a fresh coat of paint or not, or new titles that are like surprisingly split in terms of like the public opinion. And I just like, that's probably the biggest reason to me why the Switch is like not quite my favorite yet. Like, you go back and you play the 3DS, and it's like, there's like the things that everyone talks about, like, oh, it had actual themes, it had like out of game software to play like face raiders, you could like annotate screenshots and stuff, there was a
It had
camera
things like
on it.
Street Pass and everything.
Yeah, like there was stuff built into the system that was like entertaining even outside of games, but then all the games on it were better. Animal Crossing on the 3DS is better than New Horizons. Pokemon on the DS is better than Pokemon on the Switch. Zelda, I could go either way, but like, again, 3DS had like Link Between Worlds and like original Zelda games that were like, a little bit divisive. Like Triforce Heroes wasn't everyone's favorite, but it also had like Ocarina and Majora's Mask remakes. So it's like, Smash 4 a little bit divisive, but again, even on 3DS, it was a more complete feeling package because of like its side modes and things of that nature. Mario's 3D outings, there were a lot more Mario games on there. It got Samus Returns really late into its life.
I actually disagree on the Mario bit. Like, Mario 1 had one 3D outing. 2, its 2D outings were subpar at best. New Super Mario
They're
Bros.
not
2
Wonder. I like
They're
New
not
Super Mario
Wonder,
Bros.
and I also think, like, the Switch just having games like Galaxy, like, I prefer Odyssey and 3D Land. Like, I think they're around the same in my head. But, Switch has 3D World, it has Bowser's Fury, it has Wonder, it's got a better Mario Maker than the one on the 3DS. And then,
I
That
really
game was so
played the
bad.
one on the 3DS.
I prefer...
so
It was
bad.
terrible, dude. But, like... what's it called? Mario Kart. I don't need to really, say anything about that. But
I think it was better on 3DS.
Mario Kart.
I mean, it wasn't better, but
Mario
it
Kart
was
7?
new. I don't think 7's better than 8 Deluxe by any means, but I think that it goes a long way in a system having its own identity. Especially given that, like, honestly, 7 had some of the best original tracks.
That's true. I will give you
In the
that.
series. I think that without DLC, 8 Deluxe even, like with all the Wii U DLC and none of like the Booster Course Pass, is still probably inferior to 7 in terms of like track selection. And also that game had like the tracks in it were built for the system. Like playing Makawoohoo on 3D with like gyro controls was just really fun.
That was really cool, yeah. Like a
But
lot
yeah,
of the stuff
like
in the Booster Course Passage, just ported from Tor, that whole thing. But like even like 8's battle mode, not 8's battle mode, 8 Deluxe's battle mode is
Quick
genuinely,
clarification.
yeah, for sure. Like genuinely, it's one of the best things the series has, like going for it. Like that game specifically, its battle mode actually saved it. But like I do see your
double
point.
items.
Double
Yeah,
double
I
items.
think-
Like a lot of the like more quality of life things.
I think it also like there's just certain corners where it's like you can go back and forth. Like I don't think that the 3DS is lacking in like 3D Mario or Mario Kart, but I can understand why you would take the Switch over the 3DS in that regard. But then there's like I'm a Pokemon fan. There is no way in hell I'm ever picking up a Nintendo Switch to play some Pokemon. Like especially with backwards compatibility. Literally every Pokemon game with DS in the title is fire. Like Soul Silver, like Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Black and White, Diamond Pearl Platinum, Black and White 2. They are just, that was like the golden age of Pokemon. I don't even think the 3DS original titles are that great. I think Auraz is pretty good. Sun and Moon's fine.
I love
X and Y is pretty doo-doo.
I love X
but
and Y.
like, X and Y are just like worse versions of everything that came after, which is like expected, but they're worse to a degree that it's like, I didn't even like them when they came out. But, that's more of a me thing. I just like, I feel like the 3DS built itself up more of an identity. The Switch 2, or not the Switch 2, the Switch built itself on the back of what came before it. Even its like offerings like Mario Kart and 3D Mario, the originals alone are just, I would say that like, 3DS wins that if we're just considering originals. But like, in terms of like ports, sure, I could go either way, honestly. Like, if I had to choose between 7 and DS or only 8 Deluxe, it would be a hard choice.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But like, not everyone thinks that way, and I understand I might be in the minority here. But I just really do think that like, in the grand scheme of things, the Switch could have had a much better life in terms of like its original offerings. And that's partially why I'm so excited for Switch 2, and I think it could dethrone the 3DS for me as like a favorite, because if they support the Switch 2 with the amount of games that they did for the Switch 1, but they're not completely relying on ports, they let things like, they let things bake this time. Like, I don't want Strikers to get hoed again. I don't want any Mario Sports to get hoed again. I want the next console is already going to have its own Mario Kart. It's already going to have its own identity carved out for it without the help of another console. And I think that was like my biggest problem with the Switch, is that it over-relied on history. It over-relied on everything else doing the work for it. It stole so much from the Wii and the Wii U. And even then, like, Mario Kart's better, but like, is Donkey Kong really that much better? Like,
Monkey mode.
yeah, like,
True.
Country Returns is actually better on the 3DS. But, whatever.
I do want to
I
add.
can add on that.
Yeah, go Steve, go.
I think all of the games, all the ports that they did, especially in the first year, were absolutely necessary for the Switch. Like, it was a necessary evil for the Switch to thrive as it did. With game development being so long now and taking so much money, I feel like after the flop of the Wii U and the last few years of the dying Wii, they really needed a massive year of hit after hit after hit to get everyone in there day one.
That's definitely true.
No, for sure. And seeing games like Mario Kart, and you have your obvious like Nintendo ports around year one. But I think like seeing games like, I'm gonna touch on this a little bit in a little bit, but seeing games like Doom or Skyrim or like
Witcher.
Witcher, you say?
Yeah, Witcher on there is impressive.
Was it actually?
I mean, it's not good, just the fact that it's on there is impressive.
So that's something I did want to get into though. Like games like Doom and Witcher and Skyrim and like all those like big games from previous gens that like weren't on Nintendo before, like having that stuff out the gate was huge for the Switch. It was huge for getting people interested in not just like those games, but also being able to have those combined, with Nintendo's first party on the same system. However, It's like you're running this on outdated hardware. A lot of the games that are like multi-platform that get releases on Switch run significantly worse. Case in point, anything from Sonic, especially Shadow Generations. I'm trying to run that game like I do on PS5. I would not even be mad if it stayed at like 720. Just why are we stuck at 30 frames per second? That's like one of 2 games where I care about frame rates, and we're sitting at a 30. I can like barely run through levels in Sonic Generations, and it's almost unplayable for me in Shadow. It's just some of the games, like again, Mortal Kombat 1 obviously got it pretty bad. But just there were a lot of games that just it was cool to see them on Switch. It was a nice little novelty, but I'm really hoping with the power increase for Switch 2 that a lot of those games either A, get a power boost, or, you know, B, whatever comes out for Switch 2 is a lot more on par with their other console counterparts. And, you know, there's only so far you can go with this type of technology, but, you know, I can hope.
Yeah. Going back to what Steve said for a moment, I definitely understand that, like, the ports are a necessary evil. My biggest issue is, like, why are we getting Pikmin 1 plus 2 in 2023? Like, late 2023.
Oh, the game's so late.
Why is
We're still getting ports now. I thought 3D World was late.
Yeah, like, we just got Donkey Kong 10 days ago. Like, Country Returns came out on this platform the same day they announced the next one. We were getting, like, Tokyo Mirage Sessions and, like, 3D All-Stars in 2020. Like, I understand, like, ports, especially in the position they were in early on, but there's just a ton. And then they're just also wasting their time. Like, everybody 1-2 Switch. Like, let's just pop off for that, guys.
Hey, you gave us more Joy-Con colors.
Okay. Sure. Whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely do think that, especially in terms of, like, the third-party support, it's going to be a lot better on Switch 2. But I still am of the opinion that, like, even games coming out, like, last year, like 2024, even then, a lot of the ports underperforming was mostly due to, like, effort. Like, obviously, I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, everything that can run on the PlayStation can run on the Switch, what gives? But what I am saying is that Mortal Kombat 1 only has the reputation it does because they went back and fixed it afterwards, and everyone only remembers the shockingly horrific screenshots from day one.
Did they actually go back and fix it?
Yes.
Oh.
That game, it's not by any means the best way to play it,
no,
but
absolutely.
it definitely is a perfectly fine way to play that game. It does not look nearly as bad as it did on day one. Like, it has had a pretty big blow up. Like one of the glow ups that you wouldn't even need to compare and contrast with an old screenshot. You can just look at it and tell it's different. But, like, you know, there's games like that, and then, like, you know, I'm a big, like, Rocket League guy. Rocket League's fine. And then there's games like Fortnite, where I don't believe for a second that Fortnite should be struggling on the Switch, but it does. And I feel like that's mostly just because some of, like, third-party developers, indie games, whatever it may be, especially, like, big third parties, like Epic Games and, like, Microsoft for what they do, they have, like, such a fast-paced schedule and so many platforms that, like, the Switch is just not their concern. Like, for Fortnite specifically, it's like they release a new season every, like, 3 months. Sometimes they'll have, like, a 1-month season thrown in there. Their content updates are just extremely frequent, and they're playing, like, even considering last gen hardware, the Switch is not their main focus. Like, they just do so much over there. I am not surprised that it runs like doo-doo ass on the Switch because they don't care about the Nintendo Switch. Like, these people are getting harassed on Twitter for adding new movement by, like, the PC crowd. And, like, you know, if people are yelling at just, like, cosmetic changes, I'm not trying to sit here and optimize a platform that has, like, 300 players on it. What else was I going to say? Also, yeah, there are some examples of developers that do care, like Rockstar. Even when they release like the GTA bundle that also released in like an MK1-esque state where it was just like horribly underperforming. It looked like trash, and like, you know, it was just not the game people wanted to buy. They turned around and fixed that. And also Rockstar has delivered, like, even year one, like LA Noire came out and it was like fine. Like, there are games that you wouldn't expect to have on Switch that do run on Switch, and some of them surprisingly well, like Doom. And I think that they're obviously, most of it is the hardware being not only underpowered for its time, but extremely dated now. But on the same token, there are games that you wouldn't expect to work just by at a glance that certainly do. And I think that the third-party support could be a lot stronger if more devs were willing to devote more time to doing it. Like, you know, porting Doom to the Switch was not easy, but it's possible. And hopefully the Switch 2 will have enough of a familiar infrastructure and enough of a competitive power boost so that they won't need to just create another chunk of their company just to specifically build games for the platform, because, you know, only a select handful of developers have that kind of time and money. But like, yeah, I'm hoping that we definitely see an increase in like the quality and the quantity going into Switch 2, because I feel like that's also one of the things that Switch 1 was sorely losing out on, was just like quality assurance with third-party developers. So, yeah, I'm excited for that.
For sure.
I want to say some other stuff about software, but I don't know if it's for a later topic. I want to talk about how these games are going to be looked back on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go
that'd
for
be
it.
the time.
Go
Go
for
for
it.
it.
I don't think it's going to be too positive.
Agreed.
I feel like there isn't much reason to come back to the Switch, say in 10, 15, 20 years.
You talk
All of
about like
these
the
games-
first-party stuff?
Yeah, there's like the third-party games definitely are not going to hold up. You're better playing them. You're going to have better experiences playing them on other things.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the first-party titles you mentioned aren't reasons to come back. Like, I'm not going to come back to play these Pokemon games.
Hell yeah.
Um,
Amen.
Like, I've played the Mario games that are on here. I don't want to come back to them. I have no reason to come back to Wonder. I don't want to come back to Odyssey. It was fun while I had them, but I'm done with them. Whereas, I still want to go back to some of the Wii U games. I still pick up my 3DS from time to time. I still plug in my GameCube.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fair. I definitely would come back to Wonder, personally. I love Wonder. But you do have a point where a lot of, like... I feel like that's kind of one of the issues when you're developing for the Switch. Like, Nintendo of the past had, like, the home console and handheld market. And they had separate developer teams, and so a lot of those people were able to create a more focused vision. Like, the entire functionality of play coins in New Leaf on the 3DS just would not ever work on a console, because it doesn't exist. And so a lot of like the 3DS games and Wii U games were built specifically for an audience that was going to be playing on those things. Like, for example, the 3DS had a lot more pick up and play style games on it because it was a handheld. And you lose that kind of diversity when you have something like the Switch. I'm going to pick on New Horizons again. Like, New Leaf is not the type of game you're going to be spending all day playing. Like, you can't just sit down and play New Leaf for like 6 hours. And it's not meant to be. Like, I have definitely done that before because I just like have been playing that game for so long that it's like, you know, I'm trying to get the full upgrades. I'm trying to do this. So sometimes it involves a little bit of time travel, but you certainly could, like, there is like things to do in that game. But like, whereas New Horizons, it's split between wanting to be a game that you're going to sit down and play for hours because it's on a home console, but also one of those games where they want you to pick up and play. And just like, you know, pick up, put down, pick up, put down. And, you know, Animal Crossing of the past has not been a handheld exclusive. But they are really good at figuring out what works. And I think New Horizons found itself in a position where it's like, okay, we want people to like spend time playing the game, but we also want there to be like little bursts of gratification as you play in the here and now. So what did they do? They made a crafting system, and in like brought out like durability of tools, and nobody likes that. It is actually the most annoying thing of all time, because whether or not you're just like, you know, the idea behind it being like, oh yeah, you can pick up and play for 30 seconds and then like craft yourself some tools for later when you get back on, and then you can play at home, and it's like, you know, I did all that work for myself earlier and it felt good, so now I get to sit here and actually, you know, take care of my island on a larger scale. But in practice, it's like, great, I had 30 seconds to play this game, and all that happened was my entire inventory just shattered, so great. So now I gotta spend all of the time later on fixing shit and not being able to do what I want to do because I need to collect recipes for all the things I want. And there's no safeguard on those recipes for like duplicates, so you can just straight up never get things. And there's just like less progression. Like there is no like main street. There's significantly less shops. Just that kind of thing. Like, sorry, I've completely overrun your point, Steve, but I do definitely see your vision where it's like, I'm gonna go back to like older things on other hardware, but not the Switch stuff.
Yeah.
That is my like understanding of it, at least. But
Yeah, I feel like with where we're headed, if a lot of the games on Switch 2 do like hit that mark, there's not going to be a lot of reason to come back to games like you know, like any of the Mario sports games, or like Mario Odyssey, or you know, anything Pokemon. But I feel like there are some games that might, you know, like kind of stand the test of time. Like games like Metroid Dread, I will defend that game forever because I love that.
Dread's fire.
Like Dread is great. Wonder, I love Wonder. I'll come back to Bowser's Fury. And then, you know, as divisive as this may sound, I'll still come back to Smash Ultimate, even when the next game comes out. It might not be the main game I play, but I'm still coming back to Ultimate for, you know, at least Pichu, probably. But, but like, I do totally see your point, where there's so many games, like, I'm not going back to play, like, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, or, I don't know if I'm going to touch Splatoon 2 again.
Splatoon 2 is better than 3, but that's just a me thing.
There's a lot of games that just kind of like, you play them, sure, they're good, and you just kind of throw them to the wayside. I'm not gonna come back to a lot of games on Switch, especially like, sure, I will with the backwards compatibility. Like, I'll still be playing ARMS for years, dude. I love that game. No one can tell me otherwise.
With who?
Myself.
Sorry.
But like games like Switch Sports, or like, again, I'll defend.
Come back to Switch Sports.
I'll defend NES World Championships till the day I die. That game is so fun, and
that game is awesome.
I'll defend it up until they make other console editions.
The NES World Championships,
dude. Oh my god, imagine. But like, it's very like, I feel like we've kind of talked on this a lot, but a lot of the games are very divisive. But a lot of them just kind of feel like glorified mobile games.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that people like on the Switch is kind of just things fueled by the micromanagement addiction. Like, a lot of 99 games are just kind of like,
dude,
addicting in the way that like Candy Crush is addicting. It's just kind of like.
No, I totally understand that, but like, I don't sleep on my goat Tetris 99. I was playing that game earlier today.
I like
won.
The 99 games.
Bro, I got a Tetris Maximus today.
Oh, Steve has entered the ocean.
Goat.
Good. He's probably tearing it up down there. Got full faith in our man, Steve.
True. But like, I got a Tetris Maximus today. I'm still playing that game. Like, I love it. But I totally see your point with games like Pac-Man 99 or F-Zero 99.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to like a more original catalog in the next generation.
No, absolutely. Like, it did feel very bloated, very like.
I really also want them. I really also want them to like really take a look back at the things people liked and didn't like. Like, it's not to say that the Switch didn't have any hits. if they go
absolutely.
back and replicate like Wonder or Forgotten Land, I'm
Dude.
all ready for that next gen to be full of things like that. But they also have to like think about, you know, Pokemon. Just
Or
go, just
Mario
go,
Sports,
go.
or like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a
Have
lot.
any of the sports games been good?
Tennis Aces.
I
good.
like Strikers from like a gameplay perspective. It was just light on content was its only issue.
Yeah, all of them were. I give a slight edge to Tennis because that game was actually like really fun. The meter management was super sick, and
I'm very. Oops, sorry.
no, I was just gonna say the story mode kind of sucked, but like I was not playing Tennis Aces for the story mode.
Yeah, I don't think most people are picking up Mario Tennis for the story.
That was a big selling point of the game. I remember that being like, oh, and there's a story mode, and it's like,
Yeah, I don't.
do not care. I'm playing on the stadium with the light up back halves and using zone speed to my heart's content. Like I'm good.
Yeah, that is sank marketing. That guy just wants every single time he talks about a game he doesn't like, he goes, "Wouldn't it be great if I had like a massive single player campaign story?" Like, yeah, sure, man. Give Mario Kart a story mode. Fuck it, I don't care. Anyway, Steve, I want to pick your brain a little bit because I want to hear more about your like, what were your highlights this generation in terms of games? Like, what are you coming back to?
Ooh.
What do you want to see more of?
Breath of the Wild was the first big one. I played that for probably 6 months straight. But
Hell yeah,
I'm
amen.
really burnt out on it. Like when Tears of the Kingdom came out, I got it. I played it. I didn't finish it though. I just felt
Really?
very burnt out on the formula.
Mm.
Like 100%ing Breath of the Wild already took 330 hours.
You 100%ed it? Well, that's why. What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm like a huge Zelda fan. I'm listening to like videos about made up lore, and I didn't do that. I didn't even finish half of the damn Korok seeds. What the fuck?
Yeah, that was the thing I did. That took forever.
Yeah, I bet.
You're the goat for that. I can't even lie.
The best part is watching the they added in the update toward the end where you could see exactly where Link traveled and where he died for the last however many hours you played.
Mhm.
Oh,
And mine
God.
actually managed to be from the very start of my game to the end of the game. So I don't even want to play it anymore. So I don't erase like the start of that game. 'cause it only tracks
fair,
Yeah.
fair. Yeah, I
Um,
definitely have my opinions on Zelda. Were you like a big Odyssey person, or do you not really like it like that?
When Odyssey came out, I loved it. I played it from start to finish, and I made another profile to do it again.
That's kind of fire.
That was another game 100%ed, and I just went to the Bowser Kingdom and grinded that one mini level to get as many points as you could to buy all the moons. So you had 999.
Yeah.
Like Odyssey was a lot of fun. I thought it controlled well.
Same. Agreed. I remember you were the one you found that what?
Go ahead.
No, you go, you go.
That game's also really special to me because I had a 5 second of fame moment with it. I was on Game Explain, kind of.
Yes, sir.
I think, yeah, that's what he was about to bring
Yeah, I
up.
was about to bring that up.
I coined the term impossible jump in the Mario community, so that's pretty cool. I did that first New Donk City jump. And then Game Explain picked it up. I actually sent that video through Twitter on the Switch. And then Game Explain picked it up.
I will
Nice.
never. People on Earth will never know my name as widespread in all of my years as they knew you when you were like a kid. So congrats for that.
Mr.
Um,
Gold Pop-Tart, my goat.
Do
It
you
wasn't
like
even my
Odyssey
video,
like
it was
now? Like looking back on it, do you like Odyssey, or is it just like you had like fond memories of it and you like the movement?
It's fun. It's fun from I don't want to grind that game ever again.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd want to complete it either. But it's just fun to jump in there, go to a random world, and run around. It's just such a fun sandbox game. Especially
Fair.
going to the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah, true.
What are your like top 5 Switch games, like original Switch games?
Smash Ultimate, Breath of the Wild, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe.
Really?
Hey, I
I
said
love
original,
that game.
fuck boy.
This is true. You did say original. All right, take that one off.
I'll ask you about it later, because that's crazy.
Oh man. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, the first one.
Wow.
Hang on, I got my Switch here. Let me scroll through my software real quick. Oh, I keep forgetting some of these games are on here. We had a new Killer Queen game, Cuphead. Paper Mario, The Thousand Year Door. That's not original either. Gosh darn it. See, this is the problem with the Switch. I can't pick out that many.
Yeah,
Mario
you think
Maker
about the
2.
Switch original ones, you're like, damn, Origami King? Mine ain't my favorite.
Not that one.
No.
I love Mario Maker 2. It's not as good as the first one.
You know what?
But I love it.
That counts. That counts. That's
Yeah.
a Switch original game.
Absolutely. No,
Oh,
those
man.
are some good
I
picks.
know I'm forgetting something. Oh, Forgotten Land. That was my game of the year when that came out.
Yeah,
That game
real.
was phenomenal.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, I cannot sing enough praises to that game. It's so good. I want to
I'm
replay it.
surprised I'm surprised you're not a big Wonder guy.
Wonder's fun. It was missing something. It was over really quick, and there's no replayability for me. You can only have one save file, and I don't want to delete the one I just 100%ed.
Yeah, that's fair.
And there's no mini games. Like New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe has more content than Wonder.
Is that the reason why you like it?
Probably.
Oh my
I think-
god.
I think New Super Mario Bros. Also just controls better. It has better flow, and the acorn suit. Oh, come on, man.
I don't know how much I agree with that. I really like Wonder's movement. I don't really notice movement differences in 2D ones like I do in 3D. Like it's way more like just immediately noticeable in 3D when your movement system changes.
Absolutely, but I will say I do agree with Steve when he says it's like it feels like they do feel different. Wonder always felt like, you know, base moveset was missing something. Like we didn't have a triple jump, which doesn't really matter too much. But like I would have killed for, like, you know, in either of these games because it's not in there, but like, you know, a somersault would have been really sick. It's not something that's happened yet, but like it's just little things like that that do like impact the way a game feels. And you know, having no triple jump in Wonder kind of felt a little bare bones. And
I also missed the score.
is that
I didn't think I'd
Wonder?
miss it. It's not in Wonder. There's no score.
Wow.
There's no points.
That's
That was
weird.
something in every Mario game. That was like the
I
last
just-
thing to 100%. I would max out the score counter.
that's so cool.
That thing literally just added a sound effect to the end of every level to me. I don't know. I'd never looked at it. I love Wonder. Like if I had to fix one thing about Wonder, it would just be like double the size of the game because I love it so much. But that's really just not even a gripe with the game. I don't know. In terms of like 2D Mario, I would love if they incorporated more of his 3D moveset, but I don't feel that Wonders is lacking. Like the ability to just like kick shells in any direction is cool to me. I think that it having like a vast array of characters is another. The badges work wonders. The
The
power
badges are awesome.
The badges
the
are
Wonder
really
Seeds.
cool.
Like if you like think about Wonder in a vacuum, every individual thing is like, you know, well that doesn't do too much. You can only have one badge at a time, or you can only play one character at a time. But like if you take like, you know, a like character roster, it's like, you know, Yoshi's got a flutter jump. I think Luigi has some weird thing going on. You know, that kind of thing. You take like your character roster, you take badges, you take the in-game power-ups if your character can have them. You take like the actual Wonder Seeds in every level, and you have a game where it's like replayable in the sense that like if you include the Wi-Fi functionality, it's like I'm just running levels with different badges on and different characters just to see if I can. And like the reason I like compare this game to like Astrobot is because they have like a very similar thing where like there's like actual stuff to do in the overworld, which I love. But it always felt like there was just more to do in Wonders, and like the set pieces played a bigger role. Like there was like one world in Wonder where you're like in a volcano and you have to like you dig deeper as you go. So like the verticality was there, and also there was like hidden secrets and junk in there. I just thought that was pretty cool.
I will say the one thing that I think New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe has over Wonder for me is the existence of a challenge mode. Like in addition to the main game, you had a ton of different like sets of challenges under like different types of things like speedrun challenges, coinless or like grabbing coins, stuff like that. I've gone back to that a couple times, like somewhat recently, just to mess around with. Part of it was probably hype for Wonder, but like at the same time, it's like the challenges were so fun, and it's just I feel like that's what's missing from Wonder for me personally. I also don't really see much of a reason to go back just to use different badges if you've already collected everything.
It's mostly just like I didn't even collect all the badges when I started like rerunning levels. Like there was one level, it was like a challenge level where you had to like wall jump and like the walls were like those like colored blocks that like moved.
Love those.
I did that.
Those are good.
Yeah, I did that with like a handful of different badges, and I did it with Mario because it's like I'm not like a speed runner, but I do like style, and I was trying to do like
that's a good
I was
way
trying to
to
go for like
put it.
some flashy shit. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people's quote unquote issues with Wonder are just I really wanted to play that game more. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like Strikers where it's like, well, this is just like a shockingly low amount of content, or like Super Mario Party where it's like this is just like nothing out of the box. Wonder feels complete. Like it ramps up in difficulty. There's plenty of challenges to do. There's plenty of content in terms of like, you know, characters, badges, that kind of deal, right? Like it doesn't feel like an incomplete game. It just feels like I want challenges. I want a reason to go back and revisit the game. Like maybe I'm just like putting words in people's mouths, and I don't mean to do that. I just like if Wonder was longer, I just like I don't know, more people would be talking about it. I feel like that game just kind of came and went because it's just like a Mario Bros game, but I feel like everyone that played it liked it at least. Like, I don't know. It's definitely my favorite Mario Bros game. Like 2D at least. I haven't, like I said in like the beginning of the episode, I have had to make decisions a lot when I buy games. Like I can't just buy whatever I want. So I will admit I've never played U Deluxe because I played U and I was like, cool, Mario Brothers, and I just didn't feel a reason to do that. If I do buy a remake in like the coming months, it's going to be 3D World Bowser's Fury. It's not going to be Mario Bros. U. But you know, if your thing is like maxing out like different stats or like going for challenges or doing that kind of thing, then yeah, sure, I can understand why Wonder wouldn't be your favorite. But I think like from a pure gameplay perspective, Wonder is way better than people give it credit for, and even then, people give it like pretty solid credit.
Indeed, it definitely plays very well.
Yeah, I love Wonder. I think that was the other thing I was going to ask you is why do you like Mario Bros. U so much? But I don't know. Your top 5 is interesting to me. Do you like?
I think I only got the 4. I couldn't even think of a 5.
No, you had. I think you had 5. It was Breath of the Wild, Xenoblade,
Smash.
There was
Forgotten Land,
and Mario Bros. Mario Maker. I mean Mario Maker 2.
Yeah, that's right. Which I have very mixed opinions on Mario Maker,
same.
but I still love it.
Yeah, I mean, with the exception of Wonder, I guess. I think a lot of us kind of agree on what games this generation really had like an impact and what games were kind of duds. Especially when we just look at like, you know, originals in a vacuum, because it's like, you know, we're all thinking about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but not for the same reasons.
Yeah, true. Do we want to touch on Smash Brothers at all?
What about it?
Just like the impact it's had. Like I know I don't want to like get us too off topic
The
here.
game is shit. Sorry for my potty mouth.
I know, like, I want to go back and forth between like talking about the games and talking about like all the personal stuff, but I think more so than any game on Switch, the main thing that I will remember this generation for is Smash Ultimate, even if the game itself is extremely divisive.
I do have a lot of memories with Smash. I think like I'm sitting here now because of Smash, essentially.
True, same.
But I still think that game this generation for me was Breath of the Wild. Nothing hit
Yeah.
quite the same as that game.
For sure. I did not like Breath of the Wild as much. I never understood it until I played Tears of the
I
Kingdom.
pop out question marks.
I didn't feel that until I played Tears of the Kingdom. That's why I like that game so much more, because it just like that's when it clicked with me. I was also older, and I just
Definitely sells it better.
I was just way more willing to sit down and spend time on a game like that than I was in Breath of the Wild. Like, I remember sitting there thinking, oh man, I wish I was faster. I wish I had, like, you know, the speed of, like, Sonic or even Mario would be better than this. And and I get Sonic Frontiers and it's like, oh man, this is the most 7 out of 10 game I've ever played. But, like, just, you know, sitting down and, you know, running through Tears of the Kingdom, you know, possibly using glitches sometimes, most times, but, you know, making stuff like the little glider bike to just fly around Hyrule was so fun, and just getting to play it on like when it came out, I played that thing daily. I would be like on Discord with Kevin, and just like I would feel way more immersed in this world. Like I went over to Kevin's house and he had like a whole like box of little amiibo cards that he had gotten from someone. And
Dude, my coworker gave those to me.
Yes, dude. I just sat there.
That's to Kyle. Kyle doesn't work there anymore, but oh my god, Kyle, if you're out there, I love you, bro. I miss you.
True, that's real. But like, I would just sit there and use like all of them like one by one, and we would just be talking about Zelda. We would just both be playing Tears of the Kingdom. It was like stuff like that. I felt was so like exciting. Like the midnight launch for that game was so fun.
Yeah, I do definitely, like, I don't know. When it comes to Tears and Breath of the Wild, I see them as two halves of the same whole. Even if they're both complete games in and of themselves,
Yeah.
I just feel like both experiences are augmented having the other around.
Agreed.
And I really can't pick a favorite between the two, because I think they have, like, I think they both do very different things very, very well. But to rebound off your point a little bit, to talk about Smash, I really, really just want a better realized, smaller, more focused Smash game. And the reason I want that is because, like, you know, obviously Smash has a lot of characters and people don't want to get rid of the characters. Like, oh, how is marketing going to work? All that, you know, exhausted talking points, really. I think the alternative is, like, there is really not much to talk about with Smash anymore. I could talk about Tears longer than I could talk about Smash, because Smash really lives and dies by its roster, and it's really not even that good because, again, just atrocious balancing. But like, even casuals would get pissed off fighting some of these characters. Like, nobody's fighting Min Min and having a smile on their face. Like,
Yeah.
if Min Min is on the screen, somebody has violent intent, and it's and
True.
like, I'm just saying, in terms of Smash, it doesn't need to be the biggest, best, greatest game of all time. It doesn't need to be like this massive thing. Like, crossovers are fine by merit, and the biggest thing I point to is Subspace. Like, I understand, like, you know, Subspace beats World of Light, hands down. Yeah, whatever. But imagine what we could have had if we had, like, that, you know, the whole amiibo card Tears experience. Imagine if when Smash came out, me and you sat down and played through it like Subspace. Imagine, like, the enjoyment we would get out of a game that simply had a more focused vision on, like, anything else other than roster. Like, you know, we sit down and we play Squad Strike, we play Smashdown, whatever. It's just remixing the same idea. Imagine if we could sit down and do, like, a single player mode. Or imagine if we could do, like, you know, some kind of fusion of, like, Smash Run, Smash Tour, whatever. Like, just some side mode that you can enjoy with people for no other reason than you're having fun with people doing something a little bit different than beating the snot out of each other. Like, you know, Smash is a fighting game, and you're gonna fight people. That's for certain. But it doesn't need to be the only thing you do. And I think that I am more than happy to give up a pretty sizable chunk of the roster to have a game that is more versatile when it comes to things. I want to grind out like master and crazy orders. I want to play Smash Tour with a group of people at Cameron's place again. I want to sit down with one of my greatest friends and just play through an actual story mode and not World of Light's stupid RNG BS grind fest. Like, I want more varied experiences with Smash other than, hey, y'all want to do dubs? Y'all want to play squads? Y'all want to do
randoms?
Smash? Yo, turn items on, turn items off, Smash meter? Like, you know, we can have settings all the time. We can do goofy shit whenever we want. But there is, like, not a single mode in Ultimate that can reflect even, like, the simplest of, like, happiness I got playing Brawl. Like, just any part of Brawl. Like, even a stage builder is better in Brawl. Let's be fucking real.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, that's my biggest thing, is that I'm okay with giving up numbers for actual nuance and vision. I'm okay with losing. Like, we can make jokes about, like, how annoying Fighters Pass 2 is, but genuinely, I would give up so much of the roster just to have a little bit more to dig my teeth into. Like, dude, I could go all day about Smash. Like,
Yeah.
like, fucking Coin Launcher is so cool. Why don't we have Coin Launcher?
True.
Like, that's what I really want. Especially considering the Switch 2 is backwards compatible. It's going to have its own Smash. I would just really rather it be something different, something new, something innovative and focused. I want a game that, like, not only are we happy to play, like, it's Smash, we're gonna count down the days to it, it's gonna be the hypest thing ever when it's coming out,
Yeah.
and it's gonna sell a ton of copies. I just want something that I'm gonna look back on and be like, yo, you wanna break out this game? And my friends will go, yeah. Like, yeah, you guys wanna run, like, Smash Tour? Like, it's so much fun. And, like, you know, Cameron, maybe Sank, maybe you, like, you guys would be like, yeah, you know what, fuck it, let's just play Smash Tour tonight. Let's just have some fun. No one is going to be doing that with Ultimate. Not a single person. Because, you know what, it's like, even if the next game doesn't have Squad Strike, it's like, you want to do an Iron Man? Yeah, whatever. Like, dude, I can just homebrew this kind of stuff. Like, all that Ultimate does is streamline what competitive players want. It allows you to have preset game modes where you can do things like that. It allows you to, like, save rule sets where you can do that. Like, I'm not gonna say turning hazards off isn't a cool thing, but I would like a Smash game that does a little bit more than that.
Yeah. It definitely falls victim to a lot of the things I said, like, you know, the Mario sports games, or, like, games like ARMS, where, like, the core is very solid. I will stand by that. Like, I think the core of Ultimate could have a few things tweaked, but at the end of the day, it's the best feeling game I've played in the series. Like, hands down, nothing tops it. But
even
I
if
agree
I
with
would
that.
rather play other games, it's good to have, like, a identity. I don't even, like,
Yeah.
even if the next game, like, you know, we can get rid of sticky platforms, we can just have, like, Ultimate wholesale without, like, dumb BS, like, native input delay and sticky ledges and stuff like that. Like, you know, there's definitely ways to improve. But I would say, like, even if Ultimate is, like, objectively inferior to whatever comes after, if they do end up, like, dragging and dropping a lot of it, it's like it has its own identity. So it's like, at least there's that.
yeah, for
Even
sure.
Smash 4 got its own identity. Even if you'd prefer Ultimate over it, it's like, there's a reason to play Smash 4. It's not the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
I mostly wanted to bring it up because it's like, it's that game for me for the Switch. Like, I remember counting down the days to Smash coming out. I remember, like, coming home from tennis practice after high school, and my brother was like, yo, I need to see your reaction to this, and, you know, essentially spoiling Smash's reveal for me. Like, because I had missed the direct, I couldn't watch it live. You know, even prior to that, like, I would count down the days as, like, imagine Smash Brothers on this, and I would be, like, sitting in the back of English class on one of those loaner laptops, in Word, not even listening to what my teacher's saying, just typing out, wouldn't this be cool in Smash? Wouldn't that be awesome? I would make, like, little lists, like, you know, game proposals for a Smash on Switch, and just, like, that game is, like, despite all of its flaws and everything, I hold so many memories of that game. Like, you know, of course, meeting you, Kevin, and, you know, getting to bond with, like, you, Steve, like, Sank, everyone over that game. Like, Steve and I went to an IHOP and we played Smash Brothers. like
This is true.
like we just brought pro controllers and were running Smash while eating pancakes. Like that was so fun.
Yeah.
Or there was one time I went to a GameStop on the other side of the state with my boy Ty, and the two of us, we walked in, and the guy was like, talking crazy about like Smash, and we were just like chatting it up. I was like, yeah, let's run it. So I went out to my car, walked in with my Switch, and we just ran Smash Brothers. Like we ran a game on sideways Joy-Cons. Like the high school tournaments were super crazy fun to me. Getting to host one of those was great. Meeting Kevin through that was like genuinely one of like the core memories of my life.
Me Gunner.
That
Nice.
like me Gunner. I will never forgive you. But like that whole weekend, meeting you on the tennis court and then like running into each other at Clash, and just like that whole like period of time before I got super like into Discord, and we were DMing each other on Twitter and going back and forth about like, which DLC character is gonna be better, or like.
Remember when we all picked one at random?
Yup.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. You
I
got
remember
Banjo.
I
L.
did get Banjo. I'm so mad about
Rip.
that. You got Terry.
L.
But, like,
Dub. Terry
just
Dubs.
going to tournaments and like everything. Like it's definitely not the best game on Switch. Like just objectively, I personally
Not at all.
love that game. I love Ultimate. It's definitely not the best by any means on Switch, but
Yeah.
just the
I don't
amount
think it
of
has to be, really.
the amount of
Community.
influence it's had on my life, just in general, like being able to go to things like SmashCon or now Supernova, or like going to Glitch and staying over at like Matt's aunt's place and
Throwing a ball at me in my sleep.
that, and eating stale ice cream the night before, or like going to the final Xanadu and talking to people that live in like North Carolina, like Tio's from North Carolina, and just running games with me Sword Fighter and me Gunner for half an hour before the bracket starts. That was awful, but also good at the same time. Like those matchups are very fun.
Yeah, I don't think Ultimate needs to be like the greatest game ever. Like, it's just a given that any game like Ultimate, like, tournaments are going to exist whether you're an attendee or you're the TO. It's like, it's just the nature of it, and I don't want to like undermine the like experiences you've had. I just feel that like in terms of a sequel, in terms of a game,
No, absolutely. I totally
I think
understand
that
your
it would
points.
super duper benefit from more of those experiences. Like I don't know, me and Cameron got so close as kids just because of Subspace. Like it was just
Yeah.
like we were counting down the days till we got to play it with each other again, and we refused to touch it unless the other was there. And it's like, I don't know, there are undoubtedly more memories to be made with another Smash
Yeah.
for the sole reason that it's Smash.
For
and I don't
sure.
think, I just feel like it would be a damn waste to go down the same path as Ultimate and justify it with like, hey, look at how many things are here, and that's it.
No,
And
agreed. I think
Oh, I think we're in different boats.
we are kind of in different boats. I wanted like with Smash 4 and Brawl, like I didn't have as many of those. Like with Smash 4 specifically, like that's where I met Typical. I did like a bunch of stuff on Instagram for some reason. Like I was a part of like the Smash Bros reality stuff, if anyone knows what I'm talking about. Probably
Not a
not
clue.
you guys, but like people that would possibly watch this thing. I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about, but like that stuff was so fun. Even though I was like in middle school and had no idea what I was doing, and just kind of like coasting until I made it to the top 3, and it's just kind of how it is. But with Ultimate, I got to do stuff like meet people like online friends in person for the first time. I got to go to Ohio. Like genuinely, Riptide is one of my favorite things ever. And I love going every year. Like the fact that Smash is kind of like, even if it's not the thing that we're like constantly focusing on, the fact that like Smash is bringing people together like that, I think that's beautiful. And with Ultimate, I think like came out at the perfect time. That's like, again, that's how I met Cameron. We were all in German class, and that dude didn't talk to anybody until they realized that me and Aiden were like hyping up Smash. and then like Aiden and Cameron were talking, and then I talked to him for a little bit. I remember every day leading up to the launch of the game in high school, they had like little phone holders, and each one had a number. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
It like I would put my phone specifically in the number of like how many days were left till the release of the game, and everyone caught on to that, and I thought that was like the funniest thing ever. And it's absolutely like, looking back on Ultimate, it's definitely like not as crazy as it, you know, seems on paper, right? But like, I will always have a special place in my heart for that game because of, you know, what I've been able to do because of it. Like getting to host tournaments at a local retro store, or going to Ohio with a bunch of friends. Just like stuff like that. You can do that with any game, but the fact that it was Ultimate, like I don't see it happening for me specifically with any other kind of game.
Sure. Yeah, that's fair.
Those are my thoughts. I just wanted, because we're reminiscing on everything, and like, yeah.
Yeah. Steve, what do you think about all this? What do you think about Ultimate? What do you think about a potential next game?
I love Ultimate. I think it's a great place to just build on top of. I would super love the next game to just be Ultimate Deluxe. as much as you guys just said you wouldn't want that.
I'm in the middle.
Like if the next game was just Ultimate with all the modes and all the missing things that you just mentioned, Ultimate didn't have, Kevin. I feel like that would be the perfect game. Because this game is the first Smash Brothers game where you can pick up any single character and take it to a tournament and be able to perform. Every game before this has characters where you can't do anything with them, no matter who you play as.
Yeah, I think that's better though, personally.
I remember at some point in 2024, Sakurai came out and said that for both online gameplay, for both like regular and Elite Smash, every character has pretty similar win rates.
Yeah, I remember
I
that.
thought that was really cool.
I don't know. I just personally, I feel like on just like the basis of like just the nature of sequels in general, I think it would greatly benefit whatever Smash game comes next to not be Ultimate Deluxe, solely to have its own feel and its own identity. Like I loved Smash 4 when it was like the new thing. And it's like, if you had asked me back then what the next game would be, I would just say this one but newer. So, you know, surely, like, even if, like, whether or not you prefer Smash 4 to Ultimate, I could really go either way. I don't care. I just think it's better that they are different. But as far as, like, balance and win rate goes, I like to understand, like, the reasoning behind those numbers. And I don't think that Ultimate is nearly as balanced as people think. I don't think it is a healthy thing competitively for you to just be able to play any character and perform. I think like a lot of characters become homogenous in Ultimate because of how they have to design the game. Like Chrom and Mythra are basically the same character because they are, like, to put it in a nutshell, to like extremely simplify it, if they go off stage and burn a jump, they're dead. But in every other regard, they are the most broken character ever. Like, if every character is like, oh, I'm great at everything, I just can't recover. And that happens a shockingly high amount of times in Ultimate. I think, like, even its, like, lower-tiered characters are one-trick ponies. They're not winning because they're, like, you know, shockingly good compared to the rest of the cast. They're winning because they have, like, a gimmick or two that their game plan hinges around, and are also a massive matchup check for people that can't afford to spend their time practicing 90-plus matchups. And I just, like, I don't know. If you're losing to, like, Smash 4 Roy, that guy's better, and it's not because Roy cheesed you, or because Roy did some dumb garbage. It's just because that guy understands the toolkit and outplayed you, and you just lost to a toolkit that was, like, probably a bit worse than your characters, and that's about it. But in Ultimate, I'm losing to a Dr. Mario. It's probably because that guy hit, like, some crazy dumbass confirm off pill, killed me super early, and then, you know, just spent the entire rest of the game using, like, super strong lingering aerials. Like, there's a cut and dry way to play a lot of, like, the lower end characters, and it's like, sure, if you want to like look at Smash Ultimate Wi-Fi statistics of all things to justify like the game balance, then it's like, because that's where like most people play. Like, I'm not saying it sarcastically. It's like, you know, the Wi-Fi is doo-doo, but a lot of
Agree.
people, like, you can't be like, yeah, this Wonderfly Weekly number 86 is actually the most accurate way to measure Smash Ultimate. Like, absolutely not. But, you know, it's like saying, like, going online and saying, like, out of 1 million people, all these characters have an equally likely chance to win. I just don't think, even if that is true, I think the reasoning behind it is just flawed. Because, you know, I would rather there be characters that just, you know, don't work as well. That are just, like, you know, matchups are going to be a thing, tier lists are going to be a thing, and I don't think that we need to crunch it super tight. Like, I don't think there should be outliers like, yeah, this character is genuinely unplayable, don't ever pick him. But I also don't think that in order to make that character good, we should just give them like 2 or 3 tools that are just obscenely broken that govern the entire rest of their game plan. And I know like that doesn't matter to most people. Like, I definitely think this way because I've been playing Smash for so long. But even in like a casual environment, I really don't think it's like that big of a jump to say that like little kids don't understand, like they know what they're doing when they play like, you know, quote unquote bad characters. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're playing DDD and they're definitely hitting side B just as much as some guy at a weekly. So, you know, I just, in terms of like building on top of Ultimate, like if the argument now is like, you know, move the characters over and like start there and then just build outwards. Maybe.
Not just the characters, but the whole gameplay itself, I think, is just a very solid game. It's just lacking in content.
I
Like a lot of other games on Switch.
I will save that for another time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to turn the Switch One retrospective into just more Smash Bros. Talk.
Yeah,
but
I get it.
Yeah,
I feel like if we're reminiscing on the console, I think with like, for me personally,
oh no, yeah,
like,
I
that's,
definitely spent a
that's
third of my
something.
time with the console playing that damn game.
We're gonna talk about it, like,
Yeah.
like that's
Smash was
literally
just a big
why
part
we're
of
all
it.
here, bro. Like the entire reason Steve and I bonded the way we did is because of Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
I'll save like
Yeah.
I'll save the more like technical gameplay stuff for another time. But you know, in a nutshell, I just think that, especially if it's going to be backwards compatible, I don't want any more deluxe or definitive editions.
Yeah, no,
I just
I
kind of
agree.
want a new thing.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm not expecting it to be that. I'm expecting it to be something completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just that wishful thinking, you know.
It just makes me scared that it won't be fun.
Oh, I'm
'Cause how
not.
different is it gonna
I'm not
be?
scared that it's not going to be fun. But
There's always that fear, you know, like going into something. I remember when Smash 4 was like the thing. It's just, I feel like part of that is just because you're used to the game that you're playing, and then you switch over. But there are genuine times where it's like, oh, I don't like the way this feels.
Steve, yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
you know, there's sometimes it's like that, but I feel like, especially with Smash, they've worked themselves into like a design philosophy in terms of like the average gameplay. It doesn't really. I'm not really worried about the feel. I think they're really good at that above all else.
yeah,
We can go back and forth all day, but like, oh, this character should be good. This character shouldn't be in the game. They should have this. They should take away this. But like, as a baseline, every Smash game feels pretty good. I'm
Yeah.
not too worried about that.
yeah.
They're all different, but I feel like even if we go back to Smash 4 and it's like, wow, this is trash compared to Ultimate or whatever. Like, even if it's not your thing, you know, if it's a new game and it's like you pick it up day one, it's like, well, this is nothing like Ultimate. This might feel a little bit sloppy. Give it a week, you'll be fine. It's like we all played Smash 4 competitively at some point,
True.
and now we go back and it feels like a horrible thing that we never want to touch again.
I went
it's
2 at SmashCon 2018 to Charizard back throw on a moving platform on Town and City.
Yeah, I lost to a Rob.
Ouch.
I lost to a Rob in Smash 4 and then went and fought one in Ultimate. I might just kill myself.
Yeah, Smash is all over the place, but I am excited to see what the future holds. Steve, I know you need to go soon. I've been watching the clock a little bit, but was there?
Damn, wait, how long have we been going?
We're 2 hours now.
Oh!
Yeah. So I did want
Sorry.
to offer you.
No, you're good.
I did want to offer you the opportunity to, like, touch on anything else you wanted to really quickly before you had to hop out.
Just as a preface, the other things that we have bulleted were Switch Online or accessories, like Switch add-ons, things of that nature. So, if you have any strong opinions on either of those.
And, like, anything else that you wanted to, like, add, like,
do.
if you had any memories that didn't, make it into whatever we touched on, if you had anything to reminisce on. Go for
I
it.
really like the. I got 2 points. Well, I got one for each of those.
Yeah.
I really, really love how experimental Nintendo was toward the beginning of the Switch's life with things like Toy-Con.
Yeah.
Like Toy-Con VR, the robot suit, the piano. That was awesome.
That was
Why didn't we
really
get more of
cool.
that?
I remember
There
seeing...
were so many cool things you could do with the IR sensor, and no one ever did anything with it.
True. I remember seeing the Labo Man Smash mock-ups.
Labo Man.
Those were awesome. I agree. I
The
remember
online.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I remember Labo was coming out. I saw that in the a window of a GameStop in like Rhode Island on our way up to Boston for a high school band trip. And I just saw it because it was around the time it was coming out. And I saw the Labo kit and I was like, dude, that's really funny, but also really cool. Fun fact, that's also where I got my micro SD card. I got that on the way back. We stopped at the same mall, and I walked into that GameStop, grabbed an SD card, and yeah, I used some of my money for that at that time, and it's still the one I'm rocking now.
Indeed.
Anyway, keep going.
The online stuff. I can't think of a single first-party Nintendo game on the Switch where the online was good. It's not fun to smash all the time. Oh my god, Mario Maker, as much as I love the multiplayer mode itself, that is the worst online game I've ever played.
True.
Oh my god, 3 frames a second is my average. It's insane.
I don't even think Splatoon is that bad.
Splatoon.
I think
not that bad.
I played
Splatoon is good.
Splatoon 2 on hotel Wi-Fi when it first came out, because again I was Ocean City, and it actually worked really well.
I played Smash Bros. Wi-Fi on... What? I played Smash on GameStop Wi-Fi one time, and it worked flawlessly for whatever reason.
That's really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Wonder and Splatoon 2 specifically, because I don't own 3. I think those are like the 2 that I actually was like pleasantly surprised with the online. Everything else was like, it's some doo-doo, but what are you gonna do? It's Nintendo.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Switch Online service?
It's cool that
Sorry,
these
were you
games
gonna
are
say
here.
something else?
No, I was actually bringing up the exact same point.
Mhm.
The games that are on here, it's awesome that they're doing it, and I'm okay with paying $20 a month, or I think it's 35 for the expansion pass by yourself.
Is it 35 a month or a year?
A year.
Yeah, it's
That
pretty
might have
cheap.
the number wrong. Yeah, it is,
No, I
especially compared to Xbox and PlayStation.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I got into a Sank the other day, go figure, about prices. The most expensive thing for Switch, the most expensive plan is the family plus expansion pack plus whatever thing. It is $80 per year. The most expensive PSN is $160, $170.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, it is double for one person for PSN than it is for Switch. So, just throwing that out there. It's not the most in-depth thing ever. I would say, you still get more games on PSN, for free. But it's double the price yearly. So,
And sticking with the
huge day for a guy like Sank that just plays, a ton of video games, but...
Yeah.
Sticking with the online part, the eShop, I don't think we mentioned that at all. The worst shopping service I've ever used.
Yeah.
We did skip
I've
over that.
definitely... we've definitely touched on that in like prediction videos for the Switch 2, where it's like that thing runs on a 2005-esque web browser, and it runs like trash.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
The Nintendo Switch online app, the one that's on the console,
Uh-huh.
is just as bad.
Yep, agreed. Why does it run worse when you are pausing a game? Like you home menu out of a game, you go to the Switch Online service, it runs 2 times worse.
It's atrocious.
It really is.
Also, throwing it out there yet again, because my opinions are not something I pick up and drop on a dime. So I have definitely said it before, but they need to streamline the apps and the online service. There is no reason Switch Online, parental controls, and Nintendo and My Nintendo are all 3 different things. There's just no reason.
Yeah.
Anyway, just throwing it out there.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
all.
Did you talk about the Did you want to talk about? Wait, you know what? Never mind.
Hmm?
No, I was
What
going to
do you
say.
have to
Did we talk about? Did you touch on the Switch Online NSO NES Super Nintendo apps? Did you say anything about those, or did I miss that?
I'm glad they're doing it. I'm not very happy with how they're doing it.
Agreed.
It's so drip feedy. It's painful.
Yeah.
When's the last time we got a Sega Genesis game?
I don't think we got one after launch. I'm gonna be so real.
I know they did
I
some,
don't
but
even
man,
pay attention. I'll start caring when they're releasing games that I have I know it's a more personal thing, but I really am more interested in playing either freshened up versions of the games I played when I was a kid, or games that I never got to play as a kid because I was born too late. Like N64 and GameCube games, I'm willing to, I'll dip my feet in them just to try them out because I never got to. They're not quite. They're Nintendo treats all of their stuff like it's ageless, timeless, it deserving of a way bigger deal than it is. And sometimes that's true. I'm not really itching for new ways to play Mario Bros 64 or Super Mario 64 because it's they've re-released that game a trillion times. But Mario Kart 64, it's come on guys, let's just give it up. So it's I've played a lot of the old stuff. I played Super Mario World when I was a kid because there was a Super Nintendo at the Boys and Girls Club I went to. They have such a hard cutoff where they want their games to be. It's either super duper old, like the original Mario Bros, or Donkey Kong, where you could just get that whenever, wherever. And I'm not really no one's counting down the days for games of that generation to drop because they have been so plentiful and so present. That's what I'm referring to mostly is the drip feedy thing. It's dude, why are we drip feeding Genesis games? They obviously the Sega stuff is not quite as prevalent as the Nintendo stuff. But still, the games of that era are way easier to come by. And usually Nintendo Switch Online is not quite the best way to play them. And then it's I'm again more interested in other stuff I haven't gotten to play at all. I'll play Mario Kart 64 with a not trash control scheme. So yeah, I'm looking forward to trying that out. And then I'll play any DS or Wii game you put on there because those are the things that I grew up with. Or GameCube games I never got to play because I never owned a GameCube, and by the time I was old enough to understand what a GameCube game was, they were all the amount of money that I am worth as a person. So I'm just not playing that. So I just don't think it's a sustainable model to be drip feeding things when all the stuff that people care about, at least for me, is either we're not counting down the days for it. It's either abundant or it's too new to care. I can go get a Wii for $40. I'm just,
I will say I do really like one thing about the Switch Online apps for the virtual console type stuff is the fact that they allow you to emulate couch co-op, local co-op online, like if you were doing a parsec or something.
Yeah,
Like
it's
that
so nice.
is something I really want to see, like, stay around for the time that we do get GameCube, Wii, DS, like that whole thing. Like doing like subspace on Switch Online Wi-Fi, like Switch 2 online, whatever, or people being able to play Melee on Switch 2 NSO, like, would be so cool.
Now they would have to fix the lag because it is still very laggy, as with all
True.
the other Nintendo
Yeah,
games.
no, they
that
would
they've been
have to
doing.
fix that, but just the fact that it's on there in the first place is pretty cool. Good
Like
idea.
trying to play Tecmo Bowl with my dad does not work online,
Yeah.
and it's an NES game.
Jeez. Yeah, no, that needs to be, like, fixed. I think one of my biggest issues with the Switch in general is just how they handle online.
Yeah, I would agree. Anyway,
Anything else?
sorry for...
Yeah. Anything else you wanted to touch on, Steve?
I think that's kind of it. I think I hit all the major points I wanted to hit.
What, when do you have to go?
Very shortly. Like,
Okay, I'm gonna hit you with a speed round, alright?
Go for it.
Nintendo Switch UI, what are your thoughts? Home menu.
Mid.
Mid? Fire,
Mid.
fire. You want more themes?
Folders stuck. Folders came too late. No themes. Oh, I wish
True.
they had themes.
Yeah, true. Folders need to be actually on the home menu and not like something you have to scroll all the way down for anyway.
True.
What else was I gonna say? Friend codes. Do you want them to stay around or no?
Hell no. Why did we bring them back?
They're
The
probably
Wii U
gonna
did
stick around if they're
better.
keeping the Switch Online model, by the way.
Probably.
Why did they do
Miiverse.
this?
What do you think about Miiverse coming back?
I would cry. Miiverse was amazing. It felt like a little community in the Wii U, which was hard to come by in person during that era.
True.
Of
So it was
course.
really cool to have that sense of community with other Wii U players, and I feel like the Switch could have benefited from that.
Absolutely.
Word, I agree. Last one, at least for me. I had it, I just lost it. I'm sorry. Virtual console. Do you think that Virtual Console is going to be like part of NSO? Like, do you think it's going to be like its own expansion where it's like, newer games like GameCube, DS, Wii are going to be like their own tier? Do you think they're going to pivot to the Virtual Console model where you can buy games individually? What do you think?
I
What would
don't
you
think they
want?
will. I think that I would. I wouldn't mind being able to pay for the game separately, but I know they would overprice them.
True.
Like, I don't want to pay $10 for every NES game that I want to play.
Yeah.
I'm cool paying just a couple bucks a month for it.
Fair.
Repeat the first part of the question.
Do you think that newer titles like GameCube, DS, Wii are going to be like their own tier? Or do you think they're going to be like one of those things where you need the Switch 2 to use them or something like that?
I feel like they're gonna keep it for Switch 2. If they add another tier, I don't know if they would. The Expansion Pass Plus. How about that name? I think they would just make it Expansion Pass and then raise the cost of it, and then maybe the base version too.
I see them doing like a Switch 2 specific tier. I don't know.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind that. I would definitely get it. Like, Switch 2 is going to be the generation I actually go all in on Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah.
Mostly because I want to split a family plan. Also because we're finally probably getting around to consoles I give a shit about.
Agreed.
Anyway, thank you for your time, Steve. If you have any final thoughts, final thoughts, I would love to hear them.
If Duck Hunt's not in the next Smash, then I will refuse to buy it for all time.
All right, amen.
Amen.
That's all I got.
I,
All right, well,
You heard me,
Steve,
Sakurai.
thank you for your time, all 3 trillion years of it.
no, seriously, we it was so great having you on, dude.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been a ton of fun, actually. It's nice to be able to nerd out with other nerds.
Dude,
Yeah,
for
dude,
sure.
we're like fucking We're all like 20-year-old dudes. Like podcasts are the thing for us now,
Right?
right? Anyway,
yeah. If you
I
ever want
am
to hop
more
back on
than
with
happy.
us,
That's exactly what I was gonna say. More than happy if you are ever in the mood to yap, or if some big news happens, anything. I would love to have you back on.
more
It's
than
very
welcome,
fun.
dude.
My body is
Hopefully,
always Reggie.
yeah. Hopefully next time I won't talk for 30 minutes and make you two listen.
Hey, we've been.
No, you had good points, man.
No, I think we've all had pretty serviceable amounts of time to talk.
All right. Well,
Awesome.
yes. Thank you again one more time, Steve. I hope whatever you're doing tonight is fun.
Thanks, guys. You have a great night.
You too, dude.
You as well.
Peace.
That's my dude.
All right.
That's my goat.
Hell yeah, I love him. So let's wrap this up. In the trend of the Wonder Zone podcast, we want to be short and sweet, and we have taken half of someone's day. So,
Shout
yeah,
out
what do
to
you
that.
think? Let's just keep going. To round this out, what do you think about NSO in general?
I really like the service. I know we talked about it with Steve, but I do. It's, oh my god, it's like every time we go to a new category, my thoughts just stay like they feel very like similar in the way I structure them. And I think just the Switch to me, this is gonna be a crazy ass analogy, but the Switch to me in general feels like Sonic Frontiers.
Okay,
In the
I'm hearing you out.
way that it is a Sonic fans are gonna kill me for this one, but it is a step in the right direction. It is a way better step than Frontiers was, because, you know, it's a whole ass console, the ideas are great. But like, again, the ideas are great. The stuff we want is kinda there. But it is
Just a little bit more.
just a little, like, they are so close to like having like the sauce and being like, we can go all the way with this. Like, you know, at the end of Frontiers, the song One Way Dream, that was like a hidden like letter from Sega and Sonic Team to like all the fans that got to the end of the game. It's like, we're only at the beginning, and I think that's what the Switch 1 is. We've ridden this console out as long as we can, and now that the Switch 2 is coming out, I feel like they have the perfect opportunity, and they've already showed us that they're doing this, to improve on everything that came before it. Like, the Switch itself improved on everything that came before it. Motion controls, just like the two controllers in one box whole deal. Like, remember in the Switch presentation when who was it, Yoshiaki Koizumi was like, the Switch has inherited all of Nintendo's entertainment DNA. That
Yeah.
the
kinda.
Switch is kind of like the conglomerate of all of those in a way together. But like none of it is perfected. I don't think a single piece of the Switch is perfected.
I agree.
Just-
I'm genuinely like looking back on this console, like theory crafting on what the Switch 2 could be. I am genuinely becoming like surprised that it lasted this long.
Agreed, dude. Like I think there's so
dude,
much
how
of it was
did we
just
go
the
this
fact
long
that
with such a lifeless console?
part of me is surprised it's as good as it is in terms of sales. Like this like half the games that come out for this are like super bare bones or don't have enough to them. Like Smash Ultimate, perfect example. You have all these like characters, but it all feels kind of bare bones, and like a lot of the modes are gone. Any of the Mario sports games, nothing, and then free content updates for like 2 months, and then nothing. They are not supporting this game as long as they need to, because it's like, oh, people are not playing this anymore, why would we keep supporting this? Because you're not putting everything into it at launch. Like, so many pieces of this console are just like half-baked. They're very half-baked. No Ben and Jerry's. But like,
Damn, bar.
but like, I think the only thing they really knocked out of the park, outside of like, you know, maybe a couple titles like Kirby and the Forgotten Land, was the Pro Controller. Everything else is like, there's issues to it. They didn't go as hard as they could have, and I feel like part of that, as like in terms of, or at least for like the Switch OS UI, whatever, was because they were working with the money and like the finances that they had at the time. They now have like one of the best-selling consoles of all time, multiple sources of revenue from the theme parks and the Mario movie, and just every game from every franchise being like the best-selling game in their series, like Mario Kart, Smash, Metroid, Kirby, like everything on the Switch is like, you know, making crazy amounts of money because the system is selling so well. And the difference between then 8 years ago and now is so like huge. It is insane to me that we got here the way we did. But like to tie it back around to like Switch Online, it's another one of those things where it's a great idea. I like that they're taking this approach to Virtual Console. But again, why are we drip feeding games? Why is Mario Land not on here? Why isn't Smash 64 on this thing? Like, there's so many wild to me omissions, and it's like, what does that entail for GameCube, DS, Wii? Like, all these hypotheticals that we could see in the future, like, do they keep doing things with Sega? Do we get a Dreamcast Switch Online emulator? Like, there's so many questions to that, and it's like, I'm so terrified that moving forward, Nintendo is just going to keep doing the same thing when this is the perfect opportunity to improve on everything they've built so far. I think we are so close to the best Nintendo console of all time, and it's like so exciting that we have all this potential, but it is also terrifying to me that we are 8 years into this console's lifespan, on the cusp of the next one coming out, and it could very well be another one of the same in terms of their effort. And that doesn't go to say, like, they're not putting any effort into this stuff, because of course they are. There's stuff that they're putting effort into, but, like, be it time or money or whatever the case is, just, it terrifies me that we could, like, Nintendo Music is still doing the drip feeding thing. And we are, like, this far into the console's life cycle.
The other day for
it's
it.
like, do you see, like, the tweet that they put where it's like, here's some of the stuff you've missed from Nintendo Music, and it's like 8 games, and I was like, oh wow, when did those come out? Once every like one at a time over like a 2-month span. Why? What is going on? Do you not see the amount of games you have in your like legacy, like backlog, legacy catalog, whatever? Why are like half of those games on there at launch? I would understand it way more if like a lot of the Switch games were there, and then you had like some of the others, like most of the others on there, and you drip fed like stuff like, I don't know, like Zelda Skyward Sword. For lack of a better term, I have no idea. Like, it's just so bare bones, and it doesn't keep people intrigued to be drip feeding like this. I don't care about Nintendo Music because half the stuff I want to see isn't on there, and probably won't be on there for another couple years. Same deal with Switch on. Like, I know, but like, what does that entail for Switch Online? Is my thing. Like, it took us so long to get games. Like, I know people were popping off last year over Banjo-Tooie. I know people were popping off over, you know, what was that other one that like just came out? There was like, you know, my point stands. I feel like I've gotten my point.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
It's like, people are getting excited for these games, but at the same time, it's like more of a, finally, these things are actually here now. Then it's like, no way they're putting this on here because the time has passed.
Mm-hmm. I also, it's like, it's scary to like look back at this generation, because I was listening to you, and I was also trying to like figure out why I think they've, like, I said, like, it's surprising that this console lasted for so long. I was trying to figure it out. And what I was thinking was, like, initially, the concept of the Switch... Yeah, you're good. The concept of the Switch is so strong that not only was it single-handedly responsible for, like, half of the success. Like, the reason that it's lasted this long is half, in part, solely to the hybrid idea. And the reason I think that is because, like, you know, it spawned basically an entire industry out of its ass.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Like, the success of the DS spawned the handheld gaming. The Switch spawned the, like, hybrid PC, like, quality handheld gaming thing. Like, you know, the reason you can dock a Steam Deck or whatever, or the reason you can, like, detach controllers from any other handheld. It's like, you know, the Switch made the industry change, like, straight up. But I also, in terms of like the games, it's like they'll have standout successes, like 8 Deluxe being an evergreen title, or the games that are just so high quality you can't help but talk about them, like Wonder, Forgotten Land, Dread. But I think a lot of it, and it really scares me to say this, is because of just the frequency. They can afford to put out half-baked garbage like Battle League
Yeah.
because the next game is no more than 2-3 months away. Even if it is another remake, it's another release. It is something else in the ecosystem. It's more news to tweet about, to fill directs with. It's more stuff to talk about. And then on top of that, they have things like DLC. Even if we have our personal gripes with Smash or with Mario Kart or with like Pokemon even, all three of those games got so much DLC that they still ate up a huge chunk of news. Xenoblade 2 is also another great example. It doesn't really fall into the same pit as like Pokemon where it's like trash in general. Xenoblade is just not really my thing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like Xenoblade actually was just cannibalizing every direct it was in because they just wouldn't stop showing the damn thing. I don't care. I don't want this game. Like, the people that are gonna buy it are already gonna buy it. You don't need, like, no one is on the fence that late. Like, no, not a single soul. And I just, it really scares me that, in a perfect world, the Switch 2 is going to be our favorite thing because the Switch has survived so long with so little that they can't help but upgrade. Literally just any kind of like social aspect at all would be an improvement. Any kind of like achievement system at all, any kind of theme at all. Like, there is so little to write home about on the Switch itself that another console being different in any way is almost guaranteed to be an upgrade. There is no way to go backwards with the Switch UI. Like, just genuinely, there's nothing there. So, like, on the one hand, it's like, I'm confident in that. And there's the possibility that the game library next generation is, just, they realize, like, hey, maybe, given the benefit of, like, example for the 3D Zeldas, given the benefit of, like, how efficiently people could break Tears of the Kingdom, maybe we need to put some more restrictions in place. Maybe, now with the benefit of hindsight, we have, like, years and years of like linear 3D Zelda coming together with the philosophies of the open world exploration and limitless problem solving of the 3D titles, and we get a fusion in like 2026 or 27 of like the ideal Zelda, right? Like, we get like Tears of the Kingdom if the story was told in a compelling, really strong way and you couldn't just cheese everything. Like, that would be great. And also, obviously we're getting another Mario Kart. Like, finally a generation that has a Mario Kart to call its own. And so there are things that are like, we can't go backwards with Pokemon. There is just no way they can do worse than this. And so that is exciting. But there's also the prospect of, again, it being more of the same. We get Mario spin-offs, like our next Mario game, like a basketball, right? What if it comes out half-baked and trash? And the only reason they're allowed to do that is because, like, 2 months later we get DLC for Mario Kart or some other random port from like the 3DS or something. I don't know. Like, they have so many IPs, some of which they built up over the course of the Switch era, some they have just not tapped into yet, like Kid Icarus. But they have so much stuff that they could just bloat a year with it, especially considering they're pushing the Switch 2 itself back so far. It's, on the one hand, I'm excited for the prospect of them taking the Switch and innovating, because the Switch is still out here competing with all these handhelds that are meant specifically to kill it, and they can't. So it's like, the second one obviously should be like a titan of the industry. Like, there's no touching that thing.
Yeah.
But on the other, they've built themselves into such a predatory, for lack of a better term, cycle where they'll release low quality ports of games instead of making new ones, like Donkey Kong or Xenoblade.
Yeah.
And they'll drip feed NSO content, like, for no reason. Like, they've gotten themselves into a groove where what works is not what we want anymore. Like,
Yeah,
there are some
agreed.
gems that come out. There are some gems that come out. It really is just a question of, does Nintendo... Obviously, we've had so much faith in them thus far. They are far and away the only company in the big three even worth talking about anymore, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it's like, do we think that way because they have it in them still? Like, do we think the Nintendo of 2025 is the same as the Nintendo of 2017? Even if they're making an iterative console, do we think that they understand the gaming landscape enough to build on top of what they have? Or are we cynical, and do we think they're going to follow suit in the other two of the big three and just simply survive on drip feeding content and unfinished games? It's really a scary thing to think about, that like this next generation could either be the greatest or the worst of all time. It really is on Nintendo's shoulders to make or break 2025 and onward because of the position they're in. Like, you know, Xbox and Microsoft have a horrible habit of shutting down things that work and just pretty much not caring about their own library anymore. Like, if nothing else, Microsoft is probably the biggest reason we can be certain that the Switch 2 is going to succeed, because pretty much every Microsoft property is coming to it that they want to make.
Yeah, true.
But then there's also like Sony, where they don't shut down studios, and they're the other main console like manufacturer competing with Nintendo, but they also just shut down 9 live service projects. Like, they have pretty much thrown in the towel for this generation. The PS5 will get no more first-party games, at least not on the scale of like Astrobot. Like, it's just not going to happen until the PS6 comes out, and even then, it's probably going to take the PS6 a couple years in to even release anything. And when it does release, it's going to be a live service God of War. Like, it's not even new. So the reality of the situation is like Nintendo has set themselves up to essentially monopolize the industry. Unless Valve wants to make some power moves in the next couple of years, but I really doubt it.
Yes, I am.
That'd
be pretty cool, though.
It would be cool. But I don't think... I think they could. It would just require a lot of thinking, because they're in the same situation as Sony, essentially, where they make hardware, sure, and they have a few IPs to call their own, but the bulk of their success comes from everyone else. Steam, you know, Valve is known for they have like a god hand when it comes to creating games. Everything they make is just like generational, but they don't make it very much. Sony, not quite the same thing. Not everything they make is like, you know, Half-Life or Portal level, but they do have like, you know, a solid amount of IPs to call their own. But when it really boils down to it, Steam and PlayStation are really just stores, essentially. Like, they're just ways for people to get games from publishers they care about, like Rockstar. And Nintendo's first-party lineup, they've set themselves up in a position where their exclusives, their hardware, it could all come together in like the greatest console in gaming history. But it's just a matter of, do we think that the Switch's success was so monumental that they don't want to change it? The Switch obviously did record numbers for them. It pulled them out of their darkest moments and into literally the stratosphere. Like, software is popping off, hardware is popping off still. They can afford to do things like Labo and Alarmo. Like, in the Wii U, Nintendo was trying that, but one bad move, like pushing Alarmo this hard in the Wii U era, killed them, genuinely. There was just no way they could do it. And it's like, they can afford to do that now. And things like Alarmo, things like Nintendo Music keep me excited for the future. Like, yeah, they're still whimsical. They still know what they're working with. They still love what they do, and they're still going to make the games that they want to play. Like, I feel like Sony especially has gotten itself into the idea of like video games as a business, like live service. They're only interested in making money. Even the games that do come out of them are only incidentally good, like Astrobot. Like, that Team Asobi just likes what they do. But that's not indicative of Sony. That's indicative of Team Asobi specifically. I feel that Nintendo is way more filled with that kind of passion. Every team in Nintendo is Team Asobi, because they just love what they do. And I'm really, really holding out hope that the business side of Nintendo doesn't step on the feet of the heart side of Nintendo. I really hope that the games they're putting out this next generation are games that have like a heart of passion behind them. Games that they themselves would want to play and can be proud of putting out, and not just games meant to make money. Like, oh yeah, we could port this again just to fill that month, just to like make a couple extra bucks because the hardware sold so well. Or, you know, take some time, make a great game. Just, I want the next, like, Mario Sluggers. I would love if it turned into Metroid Dread, where we're talking about it years and years afterwards because it was so damn good.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be like a Battle League where we're talking about it because we're disappointed. I like even the spin-offs, like I understand, like, you know, Jamboree, perfect example. The spin-offs can still do that. It doesn't have to be Forgotten Land or Wonder or Dread, where it's like a mainline series in one of the big, like, or a mainline entry in one of the big series. It can be a spin-off. People love Jamboree. It's great. Like, just do that. Like,
Yeah, like people love Mario's like what is it, Mario Super Sluggers? Like people love
Yeah,
the
on the Wii.
Mario Strikers that aren't Battle League. Like there's so many good spin-off games. They just need to be good.
yeah, I'm like, even the more divisive things, personally, I'm okay with. Like Switch Sports. I love that game.
Same.
It's not. I just wish it was more similar to Resort than Wii Sports. That's all.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I certainly would not put it in the Battle League tier. Because that game was just deliberately hoed. Like there's just no way around it. I think it's like the Switch Sports games, even if they're lighter compared to like Wii Sports, they still have enough in them to justify buying them, to justify the price tag on them, really. And they're just fun. Like, I was not expecting soccer or basketball to have that much depth. And I'm not saying they're like the deepest games ever.
Yeah,
but like
it's a
they're-
nice surprise.
Yeah, it's like, okay, sure, yeah, I'll sink like a few nights into this with my boys. Like,
We gotta
basketball
run
was
that again.
crazy.
That was so fun.
Like, I don't know why I had such a good time with that. That's fine. Like, you don't. Not everything has to be Jamboree or Smash Ultimate or 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. Like, it doesn't have to be massive. Just make it fun and, like, make it at least seem like you care. That's really it. That's all there is to it. And I'm excited and scared for the next generation because of the path they choose to take. Because it really does rest on their shoulders.
Yeah.
At least until, 2030 when the PS6 actually has some finished games on it.
Yeah, it'll be a while.
Yeah, I don't know. But I'm looking forward to it. Sorry for rambling.
It's cool. Did we want to talk accessories at all? Like, was there anything really big? Because I had one thing I was going to talk about.
Yeah, we could touch on it. It'll be our last thing. I can't imagine it'll take up another hour.
Yeah, no, it will not. I literally just wanted to talk about the colors of the Joy-Con, like all the variants of them.
Go for it.
I really have a love-hate relationship with the, what's the word? Cosmetics of the Switch as a whole. I have a very big love-hate relationship because I remember when the Switch was coming out, we got that initial, like, first look trailer, and then we got, like, the photos that would eventually become what is on the box art of the version 1 Nintendo Switch. Where it's, like, white background with the TV in the background, and, like, the hand putting the Switch into the dock with the Joy-Con and the grip on the left side. That whole thing. I remember when that was coming out. I was at my sister's elementary school play, and all I was thinking about was this mock-up I found on Twitter or Instagram, I forgot which one, of just, like, the same thing, but different colors. Like, the Switch, the black of the Switch was red, and then the Joy-Cons were red, or green, or blue, or purple, or, the list goes on.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time we got that specifically was the 35th anniversary Mario Switch, specifically version 2. That was the only time
hear me out.
we got that. What's up?
Hear me out.
Hearing?
Are you familiar with colorware?
Yes.
They did like custom color, like they do custom controllers of like everything, but I bought from them early in the Switch, like 2018-ish.
Yeah.
Imagine if there was like free pack-in software on the Switch 2 called like Joy-Con Workshop or something. And you could go in there and customize a pair of Joy-Cons and then use your eShop balance or like a credit card to like custom buy it from
So
Nintendo
like
and they could ship it
Xbox,
to you.
so like Xbox Design Lab.
Is that a thing? I don't know.
That
Fuck
is a
Xbox.
thing. Yep. No, Xbox has a thing where you can like go online. There's a website, and you can like custom color a controller. Like you can choose the button layout or like button colors. You can choose like have a red front side, blue back side, like stuff like that. You could also get something engraved into it.
That's pretty hype. Yeah,
Like,
exactly like that.
That was
actually.
so sick. I would love that. That would be really cool. But like, I'm
Oh,
talking
this
what
is so
we
cool.
I'm talking about what we got though, and that is the
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
only
I
thing-
was just thinking about
No,
that.
no, no, it's cool.
didn't
I
know
like
this
the
was a
idea.
real thing.
I love the idea. Yeah, Xbox did that. Shout out. But like everything else was like we only messed with the Joy-Cons and put images on the dock. That is almost everything else they did for that system. I think like the Switch OLED had the white Joy-Cons and then the white dock, but the system itself was still black. Smash Brothers, pretty infamously had the Joy-Cons of all time, where the left one actually had the Smash symbol, and dude, imagine walking into a party with your Switch and you have a gray Joy-Con on the left and a Smash Bros Joy-Con on the right. I was like, what is that line, bro? Like,
I dropped it.
but like even then, like the dock for the Smash Bros Switch had the original 8 on it in their ultimate renders. Not renders, but like the mural art of them. And I thought that was so cool. But like, it's still a gray Switch dock. Or, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, same deal, except this time Pikachu and Eevee were colored in. The dock was still gray though. Like, don't even get me started on the Joy-Con grip. That could have been legendary for, color combinations. But we only got 3 variants. The black one, the charging grip, which was also black but had clear like handles, and the blue Mario 35th anniversary one. Do you see a pattern here? Do you see where I'm going with this? They only had one like limited edition that actually had different color in it.
Yeah.
Splatoon 3, Pokemon Scarlet Violet, Tears of the Kingdom all had white docks.
Yeah.
And it's like, the Joy-Cons themselves were nice. I really like the Scarlet Violet ones. I really like the Tears of the Kingdom ones. Even though
Sword and
they're
Shield
pretty-
Switch Lite is fire.
The Switch Lights were great. Oh my god, the Switch Lights were awesome. But like, the main Switches did not get that level of like, here's a gold Zelda one. Like, we got that for the Lite. That's kind of lame. Even though their designs were amazing. Like, oh my god, some of those were awesome. But like, looking back and seeing, like, Mario Odyssey had a Switch bundle, and all we had were these, like, beat red Joy-Cons that didn't show up again until...
You guys like red?
No, not even that. It was just, like, these beat red Joy-Cons that weren't available again until 2023. Like, those looked limited edition for that time, and they didn't do anything else with the actual console that they had. It was just those, like... I coined the term Odyssey Red because there's 3 different reds. There's Neon Red, there's the Mario Red, which I call the one from like the 35th bundle, and then there's Odyssey Red. Like those different.
Isn't Odyssey like the darker one?
Yep, that's the one I have now.
Yeah.
The one I was like looking for years.
Yeah.
Those are incredible looking Joy-Cons, but like imagine if that Joy-Con grip was like a deep blue for the overalls. And, I'm essentially about to describe what we got 5 years later. But, like, the colors on that one are lighter. Imagine if we had the darker ones. A little bit of variety. Or, like, with the Zelda one. Maybe we have, like, all gold, and then, maybe some green in there. Maybe there's, like, a little bit of gloom on the corner.
That'd be fire.
Maybe, like, the Joy-Con grip is gold. Stuff like that. Or Splatoon. Splatoon, honestly, I kind of like the way Splatoon did it. I like that it's just all the the splashes of ink.
The
I think
ink
that works.
splats. Yeah,
That works
Splatoon's
for
fire.
Splatoon specifically. But even then, it took us until Splatoon 3 to get that. Splatoon 2 was just the pink and green Joy-Cons. Again, no variation on the Switch, and maybe that's because they were launch year Switches and they didn't want to start rolling out things months in when all the early adopters are like, oh, that one's so cool. But even then, it's like,
Yeah, I think the optimal thing here is just to like every massive first party release that you give out, like maybe not your Echoes of Wisdoms, but definitely your Tears of the Kingdoms, like, you know, have like some special edition, like custom, like emblem Joy-Cons,
yeah.
and then like, you know, even if it's like a Switch Online member
Or
thing, I
like
don't care.
sell.
Just have like the color ones, like separate.
I agree. I really like
But
the way they.
I understand why they don't, because it's like that's a lot of manufacturing.
No, I
but-
get that, but again, they have the money for that now. I really like the way Sony does it. Actually, I'm about to glaze Sony for a minute.
Oh no.
Spider-Man 2's launch, they had the special edition bundle where the plates were the Spider-Man themed and the controller was also Spider-Man themed. Like it was all head to toe covered in that like little symbiote thing with the red on the side. That was cool, normal stuff, right? They also sold the plates and the controller separately. Like those were separate things that you could buy. So if you didn't have a console yet, you could go out and get these things. But like if you
I don't think
did,
that's, like,
you could get a
good.
controller that had the Spider-Man logo on it. That's what I did. I bought that at launch. But then, here's where I'm gonna, start hating on Sony again. They never sold the console plates in stores. It was only online. Like, I want to walk into a store. This goes for all of the console plates that they released, by the way. Like, I only ever saw the, like, boxed store-looking, like, console plates for the original PS5s, like, the different colors of them. I've only ever seen those in person at Retro Replay. Never once saw them come into GameStop. Never once saw them while walking through Target or Walmart or Best Buy.
I think the opposite of you.
Ever.
Never
saw
I
them.
think that like it's really scummy, honestly, of Sony to be selling parts of that thing like separately. Like I think it would definitely be better if you could just like get that all at once. But on the same token, I think it's better if you have to like order it online and they custom ship it, because I think it's like, even if like Nintendo or Sony has the money, I don't think they should be blowing their money on manufacturing a ton of like just add-ons and controllers and shit.
No, I totally understand that. You don't want to like throw out a bunch of stuff that not many
That's
people
what I'm saying,
are gonna buy.
like the controller workshop thing.
But like that would be cool.
Make it online. It would be cool.
But it would
like I just think that
personally,
like
yeah, sorry, go.
Sorry. I just think that like one, Sony should not be selling things like pieces of a console for that much. Like disk drives especially are just like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Even if
agreed.
you can customize them. Like I think it's cool to like pop them off and like change
Yeah.
them out.
Mhm.
That's not the type of thing where you should be like, you have to buy every part of this game's thing separately. You have to buy the Spider-Man plates and the Spider-Man controller separately.
I like
what
that
I
they
do
gave
think,
us the
though-
option for that. That was nice.
I mean,
No, sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. It's weird because it's like I just feel like if it's all thematically the same, then why do it separately?
For
That's just
people who don't
an
have
excuse.
it, for people who
But
don't
why
have a
you-
PS5, you can get all the Spider-Man stuff. But like, if you do already, then you can just get what you want. You don't have to buy a whole nother system to get the plates.
I just don't get that. If you're into Spider-Man enough to buy like Sony skins for Sony products for Spider-Man, just buy the damn console. Like,
Okay,
That-
but what
it
if you
just-
already have a console and then, they drop this whole limited edition Spider-Man bundle and it's like, oh shit, well, I don't have $600 to spend on, another PS5. I don't know. We could go
you
back
mean in
and
that
forth.
situation.
Yeah.
I was just saying that, like, in terms of like controllers or something, I definitely think they should be more of an online custom order thing than an in-store thing.
I do see your point, 100% see your point, because then they can actually just custom order them, and then they don't
Yeah,
have
it would
to
just be
make
smarter and
overstock.
cheaper to do it that
Yeah,
way.
no, agreed for sure. But there's what I wanted to say earlier was I'm a big like advocate for the in-store experience, for walking into a store and being able to go to the video game section and see like the demo unit, or the amiibo display. I've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks now, where it's like, dude, I miss those amiibo displays at things like Toys R Us when they were open, or like GameStop or Best Buy, where they had this wall of amiibo, and just it would be so cool to see stuff like that again. And then on top of that, Sony, again, gonna start glazing Sony, is like, I walk into a GameStop, right? I walk into GameStop some days, and I'm just looking on that back counter, and they have like 7 different variants of a DualSense controller back there. And it's like so interesting looking at all of those different colors that they have, and it's like, oh man, imagine if I had that one with this one, or like, what if I had this one instead of the one I have now? Like, stuff like that, being able to like look at all these different colors that are officially there and like get excited over that. The other 2 big companies don't really have that as much as Sony does. Like, Xbox has some cool designs, and I was
Xbox
talking, like,
has a ton of controllers.
I know,
stores.
but they're not as stocked as like other ones are. I think there's a balance.
Yeah,
that needs
because
to
there's
be.
a bigger variety.
No, agreed.
That's what I'm saying with like Joy-Cons. It's like there's 2 controllers in one.
Yeah.
There is just, and it's like you get into that situation where if you value the in-store experience, it's like, okay, do you want to fill the store with like one of each single Joy-Con, or do you want to fill the store with like an ample amount of Joy-Cons, but they're all together? Like, you're in a store, right? And you'll have one guy like, oh, it's so convenient that I can just buy both of the Neon Joy-Cons in this single pack right here, and then he gets that. But then you have like another guy that goes like, oh, well, I only want the blue one on the left, I don't need the other one, so he's gonna buy the single. And it's like, what if these people's situations are swapped? How, like, which one of these is more common than the other? How do you manufacture that amount of things, especially when it's Joy-Cons?
Absolutely.
And it's like,
no, I think like it's like, you
how
don't
much
want to
money
over.
is Sony losing by putting that many controllers in there in the first place? It's not even like Sony's selling all those damn
It's
things.
a fair point. I think they want. I want to see them strike a balance with it. Like, Amiibo, after a while, found like a stride where you could have like enough for people that wanted them, but not overstock them to hell. Like,
Yeah,
there's definitely
a
balance to it. I just really want to see more Joy-Cons, or more like variations of controllers that aren't like the default red, blue, and then like the pastel colors, because that's all we've seen. We only got 2 of those. We only got 2 sets of the pastel colors. Like,
I know the Animal Crossing ones. Is there another one?
Huh?
Is there another one besides the Animal Crossing, like pastel green and blue?
Oh no, those are different. When everybody 1-2 Switch dropped, they dropped 2 pairs of pastel colors.
Wait, what the fuck are? I've never heard of these,
dude. But like, it took me forever to find the.
Wait,
blue...
these are 1-2 Switch?
They're not 1-2 Switch themed, but they made new colors to coincide.
I do remember this. I do remember this.
Yeah, like the purple green. Yep.
Yeah, who cares about these? Sorry.
I do. I like the color variation. Like, I want more.
I think the
of
balance
that.
you're looking for. I got it. The balance you're looking for is this: Joy-Cons. Joy-Cons have the inverted default colors, and then like a black or a white. Those are the only Joy-Cons in the store. Other than that, Joy-Cons are reserved for online only. The in-store variation is Pro controllers.
That would be kind of sick.
Definitely see, like, Pro controllers, it's one unit. You don't have to make a decision whether you want 1 or 2 or whatever. It's way easier to box them up, put them out there. They get to go ham with the designs, so more people are actually inclined to buy them in stores because they're not looking for a specific color combo.
Mm-hmm.
So you can afford to, like, go out on the designs, put them up in stores. They'll sell way more than like a yellow and green Joy-Con combo
Agreed,
will.
yeah. I do really want to see them, I know we touched on this last time, but I want to see them go ham on Pro Controller designs this time around. Because with the Switch 1, we only had limited edition ones, and we barely saw them. Like, I think I got the only Pro Controller from Tears of the Kingdom that midnight launch that our GameStop had. Like, that was the only one.
I was gonna get
I think
one,
there were like 2.
then I realized I'm broke.
I think Steve and I were the only ones to get that Pro Controller. Yeah, and then like the Smash Bros. One, the Xenoblade one, I saw the Monster Hunter one in stores for a little bit, actually. That was nice to see. It's just, like, I love seeing variety when I walk into a store and I'm looking at the controllers, because, like, you can throw all the accessories and third-party controllers at me that you want, but I'm really looking at that top left corner and seeing what Nintendo officially made. And there isn't much of that I can go into a store and regularly see. Does that make sense? Like, I wish I would have seen more, like, you know, a couple different Joy-Con colors, or maybe bring back the, like, the, you know, the blue and yellow ones, because I literally spent weeks walking around to different Walmarts and Targets looking for that specific combo. Or, like, you know, it would have been cool to see, like, different colored Joy-Con grips. Like, that would have been so fun. I would have spent money on that.
Yeah, I think grips are also like pro controller type things where you can definitely get away with designing a little bit more. They're a little bit harder though, because you have to design the Joy-Cons into those.
I mean,
I feel like they could be like one of those things where maybe like Switch Online members get access to a small list of more eccentric, emblematic designed Joy-Cons plus grips.
Yeah,
maybe it's
you
like,
don't really
maybe
have
the
to
Joy-Cons
design Joy-Con grips.
Well, I think
Joy-Cons if you're selling them separately, then that's the customer's decision.
Maybe, but like I don't know. Again,
you have a little 7-year-old kid walking in. It's like, oh, I want these yellow Joy-Cons and the red grip. You want the McDonald's controller, buddy? Awesome.
Anyway,
like the other thing I did want
to we're totally turning the accessories talk into an hour.
No. I totally understand. I get it. Let me put this out there, right? Why they literally launch year of the Switch, they did different colored Joy-Con straps and then stopped after arms. Why?
Because no other game needs Joy-Con straps.
Switch Sports.
Hell no.
Dude, I play Switch Sports with straps. I'm one of them. I need to do that shit while I'm like swinging twin swords around in Chambara. But like they stopped doing it. They just stopped doing it after the yellow Joy-Cons came out. They never did it again for another pair of Joy-Cons. The only pair of Joy-Cons I saw like for a good period of time, like in stores outside of the ones that I see now, were the Skyward Sword Joy-Cons. Those were actually pretty like well stocked.
Oh yeah, I did see a ton of
those. I would have loved to see more Joy-Con like variations in the styles of games like Odyssey or Switch Sports, I guess, or Wonder. Wonder got shafted like crazy because that game came out alongside a Switch OLED Special Edition. You want to guess what they did for the release of Mario Wonder? And they did the Switch OLED.
It's just a white OLED, isn't it?
No. It's not a white OLED. They dropped this. They dropped an OLED bundle, not a bundle. They dropped a Mario OLED, like a couple weeks before Wonder came out, and it was the same thing that they did for the 35th anniversary, minus the blue Joy-Con grip, and the back of it had coins underneath of the little like handle thing to open the back of the dock. That's all they did, and it looks worse because the red doesn't even come onto the front of the tablet.
I never seen this shit in my life.
It's so bad. It's like, why did they do that? Why? I would have killed to see, like, a Wonder Flower on the front of the dock. That would have been perfectly fine for them to have a white dock for it, because, the whole thing with Mario Wonder was, like, they had the white background. I would have killed to see, like, a Wonder Flower, or maybe, like, a Talking Flower on the back. Like, any chance to see Talking Flower in anything, I'm gonna take it. But just, no, we got a worse version of a thing that I saw in a mock-up 8 years ago. Like, what are we doing?
See, that's what I'm saying. I didn't know half of these things existed. In fact, the moral of the story is Joy-Cons you order online custom because there's too many combinations and there's no way to measure that. And then Pro Controllers, give them to your design teams. We know you got them. And then let them do it, and then put those in the store, and that's it.
I want different color Pro Controllers instead of just the variants of, like, different games. I would kill to see, like, red or blue or purple, like how Sony and Microsoft have theirs, and just have those be staples, and then the special editions come later. That, I feel like, would add a lot more, like, flair to it, and also we would actually have Pro Controllers in stock more often than we don't. Like,
maybe.
Anyway, I think I've got all my thoughts out there. I just really love, cosmetic stuff when it comes to my video game consoles.
I do too. It's just like, reality of it is, as much as you love walking into a store and looking at all of the Sony and Xbox controllers, Sony and Xbox hate you because all you're doing is looking. It's not really good to have a ton of stock just sitting in a store somewhere
Agreed.
and not selling.
Yeah, no, absolutely agreed. And I would be, if I were to walk into a store like that and I had the money for it, I'd be buying every single color of controller. Like, I just bought the teal DualSense the other day because that one really, like, caught my eye. And it's nice. It's a really nice looking controller. Now, I wish Nintendo could do that.
Anywho, what time are we at?
Do I want to tell you that?
3.5. It's 3.5,
It's
isn't
3:09.
it? Okay. Yeah, it's still pretty bad.
That's still pretty
Anyway,
bad.
thank you for listening to episode 4 of the Wonder Zone podcast. We're gonna rebrand to the Wonder Zone collection of audio films, apparently, because
Yeah, you want to spend That's a good 3-hour drive video. I might watch this next time I go up to New York City.
Sure, but like the reality of it is, it's like James Cameron can tell the story of Titanic in a more concise way than we could talk about the Nintendo Switch.
That's true, but also this is a lot more freeform than, a film. They have way more time to get their thoughts.
I
We're
don't
doing
care.
this on the off-grid.
I don't care. Anyway, next one's gonna be shorter. The bar is in hell, but the next one will be shorter than 3 hours.
Did
So,
you have
thank
any
you for
final
listening.
thoughts? Did you have any final thoughts on anything? Just like, because I think we've touched on
the
most
one
of them.
itself.
Yeah. Just trying
Not
to wrap
really.
things up.
I'm more excited for the Switch 2 than ever. I think
Agreed.
every angle of the Switch 1 can be improved upon. We all know what they need to do. We just need them to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I will always hold the Switch in my heart. Like, it has a special place in my heart forever, just because it's like, my first full console that I watched happen. Like, I was there for all the leaks. I saw all the pre-release stuff. I wanted so badly to go up to New York City to see CND and the Switch line while that was happening. Just everything that happened throughout those 8 years was genuinely something I'll never forget. But looking back on it, it's a little hard to call it. It's a little hard to say it is as good as it, you might think it is with how well it sold. There's definitely room for improvement, but I still love the thing. Again, it's like what I said. I compare it most often to Sonic Frontiers, where it's a great step in the right direction. They just need to find their footing and go forward.
Mm-hmm.
I love everything about this console. Like, I was gonna mention Pokemon Snap earlier, because do y'all remember that game came out? You remember they made a new Pokemon Snap?
Yeah, I remember.
Like,
Just,
I totally
not my
forgot
thing.
about that. I was walking through GameStop and I was like, oh wait, this game came out. Like, it's just like, oh man, there's so much that has happened in the last 8 years that it's hard to remember everything. But I have so many memories with this console, and coming from high school into almost done with college for me personally, that's a lot of time. And I'm very excited to be stepping into a new era at this kind of point in time in my life. It's a very nice way to send it off, and I think for what it has given me, the amount of friends I've made through it, and just the amount of good times I've had with the console, I think now is the perfect time to be moving forward. I wish it came sooner. I'm surprised this thing has been sticking around for 8 years, but it is what it is, I guess. I remember, I tried to do podcasts back in 2017 with Ty. I tried to do a Switch podcast type thing, and I was playing the Splatoon 2 demo, the test fire. And Ty was sitting right behind me, and I had my iPad laid down, and we were trying to talk about, ooh, what's next for the Switch? Ooh, what could we see with Mario Odyssey? Or what are they going to show at E3? That whole thing. And now coming here, and now being here and actually doing a full podcast type thing, and just seeing how much time has passed, it's really crazy to think on just how much has happened in these 8 years, and I will never forget the Switch for what it was to me. But I am very much ready to move on. Let's go. When is April? 2 months out? Let's run through these next 2 months. I'm ready to watch Captain America, play Split Fiction, and be ready to say goodbye to the Switch.
We are not watching any damn Captain America.
Oh, I'm watching a damn Captain America, bro. That movie actually looks good.
Pirate the shit out of that movie. Yeah.
I don't know. I just like Sam
Sure.
Wilson. Anyway.
Anyway, we'll be coming at you next time with episode 5. We're going to be talking about the February Nintendo Switch 1 Direct. So that'll be fun.
You really think that's what our next episode's gonna be?
Yeah.
All right. We'll see
Anyway,
what happens.
have a good one, everybody. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Wonder Zone podcast.
We'll catch you next time.
Hopefully. Jesus.